Chapter 223, The Abominable Four Scheming Demons. Chapter 223, The Abominable Four Scheming Demons. Whoosh! Two figures flashed among the clouds. They were Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian on their way to Thunder Swarm Mountain. Elderly, how much longer? Zhuo Fan rubbed his thunder ring. Li Jingtian calculated, by my estimates, we should arrive in 3 days. Good. Zhuo Fan flapped his wings and tripled his speed, the faster we get there, the better. Who? Then, a sudden attack came at them in the form of a shadow. Zhuo Fan had no time to stop, about to smash into it. Li Jingtian intervened, however, and grabbed Zhuo Fan's neck. He then placed Zhuo Fan behind him, but the shadow sped straight for them. Ghostly Dragon Claw! Li Jingtian shouted. Bam! With a devastating sound, the shadow was sent flying while Li Jingtian stood unfazed, tall and proud. Yet he couldn't stop his red hand from shaking. Elderly, are you all right? Zhuo Fan looked on carefully, while Li Jingtian was frowning. Don't worry. That item is a spiritual weapon, most likely a 5th grade one. If not for being a body cultivator, I might have ended up dead. Sighing, Zhuo Fan nodded, then breathed easier. Hi, you must be someone to have blocked my 5th grade spiritual weapon, the bone staff, with your bare hand. It looks like I caught myself a big fish. A creepy snicker accompanied the appearance of a man not 100 meters from the pair, holding a black item in his hands. Under a closer look, Zhuo Fan could see that the black item was a 2-meter-long black staff with a human skull at the ends. The wielder, however, was a hideous pygmy. The evil air wafting from him made one's nerves tighten. 3rd layer of radiant stage. Zhuo Fan's eyes widened as he and Li Jingtian cried at the same time. The pygmy was excited all of a sudden and gesticulated in joy. Hi, now you know how great I am, so be good and surrender and I may be kind enough to spare your miserable lives. Humph, a mere 3rd layer of radiant stage expert dares show off before me? Li Jingtian stomped forward and released his mighty power. The pygmy was cowered back again and again by the display and gasped, What, you're in the 6th layer? Ha, how the hell did you live so long to reach the 3rd layer of radiant stage when you attack without even scouting your opponent first? Zhuo Fan mocked, it's my turn to ask the questions. Who are you and why did you attack us? The pygmy cackled after sparing Zhuo Fan a second glance. Ha, a puny 5th layer of bone-tempering cultivator thinks himself worthy of hearing your grandpa's name? You little shit that is neither human nor monster, dares to call yourself my grandpa? Zhuo Fan's face was vicious as he glared. Elderly, no more questions. Deal with this midget and let's be on our way. With pleasure. Li Jingtian had long found this pygmy's attitude annoying. Zhuo Fan shows off because he is the steward of a clan, and he has both ambition and power within himself. While you, a filthy little shite, too ugly to even look at, and weaker than me to boot, dare do the same? You have another thing coming. So Li Jingtian eagerly went on the offensive the instant Zhuo Fan gave the order. The pygmy wasn't scared by Li Jingtian's charge, however, and started twirling his bone staff. Bang! Metallic clashes rang all around. Li Jingtian didn't use a weapon, but as a body cultivator, he honed his body into a weapon in and of itself. Every one of his strikes was no lesser than one coming from the bone staff. And since the two of them were of different cultivation layers, the pygmy was on the retreat with every blow from Li Jingtian, despite holding the advantage with a spiritual weapon. He wielded the black staff with uncanny movements, avoiding all attacks, but when his energy reserves were up, only death would welcome him. Blast it, I really hit a snag this time. The pygmy started cursing from exhaustion. Then, clenching his teeth, he suddenly jumped to gain some distance. But Li Jingtian realized his attempt at running away, so he shouted and struck the black staff fiercely with his hands. This time, however, as the black staff danced, the pygmy was shrouded in black energy, while the bone staff started letting out eerie screeches. The next second, the vile energy took the shape of a skeleton as it cackled at the two. This demonic cultivation method is beyond vile. Zhuo Fan frowned. He never thought this weird pygmy would be a sinister demonic cultivator. But he wasn't worried. When it came to sinister demonic methods, the wraith style used by Li Jingtian was by far one of the most wicked out there. Hi, you didn't expect this, did you? I am a dreadful demonic cultivator. With this low profound ranked martial art of mine, Demon Shadow Bone Staff, I will swallow your body and soul. Scared now? Ha, the pygmy crackled from within the shadowy skeleton. Li Jingtian only grinned, moron. What, you still dare take me on? Then die. The pygmy sure had a screw loose, though he had quite the sharp pair of ears on him. The mockery in Li Jingtian's words earned his rage, charging at him with the image of the skeleton. But Li Jingtian only smirked without an ounce of fear, just as a black dragon image engulfed him. You blind little shit, let me show you true demonic martial arts. Wraith Style's first move, Soaring Demonic Dragon. Roar. With a reverberating roar, Li Jingtian's power surged and charged at the skeleton image. In a totally anticlimactic way, the skeleton image up and vanished without even a sound. The pygmy spurted blood and was sent flying just as his staff snapped in two. A 5th-grade spiritual weapon was broken by using brute force alone. The Mad Dipper combined with Wraith art was a force to be reckoned with. Looking at his broken black staff, the pygmy realized the error of his ways. He really kicked a wall this time. His eyes began to show fear. Wait, hold on, I give. Please let me go. The pygmy started wailing and begging for his life. Li Jingtian turned to Zhuo Fan for opinions, only to see him looking elsewhere and letting him handle it. So Li Jingtian looked at the pygmy with a cruel grin, it's far too late now, you little shit. Li Jingtian laughed and slapped his chest. The pygmy wailed, brothers, your big brother is about to die. Come save me. Who dares kill my brother? An ear-piercing cry resounded and startled Li Jingtian into seeing 3 shadows flying at him. They were on him in a flash. The 3 launched attacks at the same time, forcing him to jump next to Zhuo Fan. But the sight of them had Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian slack-jawed. Before there was 1 and now there were 4 pygmies. Though there were differences here and there despite how ugly they all were. One was sharp, one was wretched, and the last was shy. Now that the 3 helped the first pygmy up, he regained his brash tone and started cackling, ha, so now you're scared since my brothers are here. Give yourself up and I may be inclined to spare your wretched lives. Zhuo Fan's face twitched and darkened. He definitely has more than one screw loose. He just had a harsh lesson beaten into him a moment ago, but now he's back to showing off. Guess you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It was fine if his backers were stronger, but Zhuo Fan could easily see they were of the same cultivation. Elderly had no problem with one, so where did this tyke get all that courage from? Elderly, for the sake of humanity, get rid of these little shits. I can't bear to watch. Zhuo Fan sighed. Li Jingtian however recalled something and turned grave, Steward Zhuo, we may have hit a snag this time. Startled, Zhuo Fan saw Li Jingtian cup his hands. Are you perhaps the legendary 4 scheming demons the demon scheming sect placed in Thunder Swarm Mountain? Widening his eyes, Zhuo Fan turned to the 4. Didn't the demon scheming sect lock them up? What are they doing up and about? At his mention, the 4 assumed weird poses and shouted to the world, indeed. We are the demonic cultivator hero quartet, known to all as the abominable 4 scheming demons. The creepy display the 4 put on and their pygmy appearances was jarring to one's eyes. Zhuo Fan was even cringing. These 4 are grade A weirdos, one dumber than the next. I just can't figure out why in the world demon scheming sect would take them in. Elderly, I still believe it's in humanity's best interest you deal with them, forthwith. Now I know why the demon scheming sect threw them in the Thunder Swarm Mountain and forgot about them. Humph, Not even I would want to spare one moment longer seeing these weirdos. But not only Li Jingtian was unmoving, his face only grew heavier. Steward Zhua, they are more than their exotic appearance led you to believe. These four threw Tianyu in chaos when they joined hands back in the day. Zhua Fan squinted and looked at them again. Since it was so, he was very much eager to see how. Chapter 224, Dreadful Unity Tactic. Chapter 224, Dreadful Unity Tactic. Big brother, they look impressive. It's best we make a run for it. One pygmy hunkered behind the other three and peeked his head out at Zhua Fan in fear. Zhua Fan was stumped. The hell, you balked after some hot air. This never happened before, not once. What are you doing posing around as our enemy then? Why not just scram in the first place? Another pygmy noticed this contradiction and cuffed the shy one over the head. Coward, you're always cramping our style. We won't take you with us ever again. And our eldest bro was hurt by them. How can we let this slide? Zhua Fan nodded, that's more like it. He was sensible to even neglect that part about their style. This guy's reaction is more like it, that's a proper human response. But that thought didn't finish forming as the pygmy added another slap, and even if we don't get revenge for old bro, how are we going to get compensation for getting his bone staff ruined? They have to pony up. The pygmy was then holding the halves of the black staff close to his heart, on the verge of crying. Zhua Fan's face twitched and darkened. His previous thought was wiped clean off his mind. I stand corrected, they're inhuman. You don't care about your elder bro's wound and yet you cry over some junk? Even if it is a 5th grade spiritual weapon, how can Radiant stage experts bawl over something like this? In the end, the eldest pygmy ignored his moronic brother's senseless talk and shouted as he hit their heads, God damn it. I didn't call you over to squabble, but to fight. I'll lead and you follow. He then charged at Zhua Fan and Elderly. But on his second step, his wounds flared and he spat blood. Even so, his eyes were fixed on Zhua Fan. Attack, attack, the last pygmy thought of making an even bigger scene and was now hopping and skipping from the side, egging them on. Though he showed not an ounce of intent to join the bustle. Their eyes squinting, the other three turned to this pygmy and started raining kicks and punches on this cheerleader. Blast it all to hell. Every single time you stand aside and cheer but are the last one to help. Yeah, third bro. If you don't charge first this time, we won't charge at all. Let's all calm down a bit. Old bro is wounded. It might be best if we make a tactical retreat. The cowering pygmy in the back earned a glare from the rest. Then the three started taking it out on him. Fourth bro, you butt in every single time and ruin our morale and make us lose. Yeah, we wouldn't have lost the last time if you'd have charged with us. How else could the sect leader manage to banish us in that wretched place to suffer so many lightning attacks otherwise? The three were quite springy in giving the fourth a run for his money. Then the fourth thought of something and barked, what of second bro? If not for him being so damn petty, going after the spiritual weapon the enemy dropped, we wouldn't have lost. In a blink, the three stopped and turned to the pygmy that wanted compensation. Now the fourth joined the squabble and the three ganged on the second bro. Zhua Fan's face was having a field day from all that twitching. What the hell's wrong with these weirdos? What have they come here for, beat each other up? Their enemy was right across yet they were having the time of their lives smacking themselves instead. Zhua Fan couldn't make out if they were mocking the two or plain dumb as a rock. Elderly, are these guys even strong? Zhua Fan sneered. Li Jingtian sweated, should be. I only heard rumors about them and never met them myself. They say these four are quadruplets and fit together like a glove. This is why the demon scheming sect recruited them and taught them a unity tactic. They usually win by numbers, despite being weaker. That doesn't look united to me. How do they even fight if all they do is beat each other? Zhua Fan scratched his nose. Li Jingtian laughed wryly, despite the four's fight getting more traction, and explained, Steward, just as you heard, this must have led to their banishment. They may be able to work together flawlessly in battle, but their characters are totally different and hard to reach a consensus. Speaking of the first pygmy, he is the eldest among the 4 scheming demons. Violent demon. He is brash, rude, and very much brainless. No matter how strong the opponent he faces, he is the first to charge head first. If his brothers follow or not is another matter entirely. This is also why we didn't sense any soul ripple to scout our level and instead skipped to throwing the black staff at us. Oh, I am well aware of his stupidity. Shuo Fan nodded. Li Jingtian pointed at the pygmy getting a beating. The one asking for compensation is the second brother, Scrooge Demon. He is the cheapskate of the 4, narrow-minded, and always forgoes long-term profit in favor of short-term pocket change. He is a typical case of strain at gnats and swallow camels. That guy deserves to be beaten. He ignores his elder bro and laments the loss of a spiritual weapon. One look at him and it makes me want to smack him too. Shuo Fan watched him get clobbered without remorse. Li Jingtian chuckled, pointing at the cheering, yet the least one to do anything, like a mascot, that is the third brother, Sly Demon. He is sharp and expert in sneak attacks. Rumor has it that each time the 4 fight, he always stands at the sideline doing nothing. But every time heads come rolling on the enemy's sides, it's all thanks to him. He's your typical opportunist. This guy has at least a redeeming quality, hoodwinking his enemies. And yet he uses his smarts to steal the credit from right under his brothers' noses. At least he's much better than the first 2. Shuo Fan nodded. Li Jingtian pointed to the cowardly pygmy. He is the 4th brother, Wimp Demon. In every fight, he stands behind his first bro. But some say, he is the strongest among the 4. Many experts despise his nature and slight him, only to fall at his hands in the end. Shuo Fan nodded, elderly, why don't you go and mess with them a bit? Force them to show their skills. Li Jingtian shook his head vehemently, Steward, don't joke about this. They may not look like much, but they're dreadful together. I heard that a century ago, they were only in the 9th layer of Profound Heaven stage but killed a 2nd layer of Radiant stage expert. Just think. Any Radiant stage expert is hard enough to fight, but these 4 killed one when they were in the Profound Heaven stage. Now that they're in the 3rd layer of Radiant stage, I'm not confident I can come out alive. What's that got to do with anything? Their eldest bro is wounded and their unity tactics effect will fall sharply. With a snicker, Shuo Fan got Li Jingtian to see things from a different angle. Suddenly, Shuo Fan pointed at Li Jingtian and yelled at the pygmies, hey, this old dude said your dad mated with a swine and ended up having you 4 weirdos. The 4 stopped fighting and turned their vicious eyes on Li Jingtian. Shuo Fan chuckled and jumped back half a mile, leaving Li Jingtian their sole lone target. Li Jingtian paled from fright and wiped the sweat of his brow. Steward, you screwed me over. The 4 got to their feet and walked to Li Jingtian side by side. Their faces lost their dumb looks and eyed him with savagery. Wimp Demon was no longer cowardly, Sly Demon no longer dodgy, and Scrooge Demon's eyes lost their greed. In that instant, the 4 became just like Violent Demon, releasing their vile power. Shuo Fan's brow shuddered and his eyes shined. All while Li Jingtian's mood sank and his eyes glittered with tears as he cursed Shuo Fan in his heart to the ends of the earth. I may be the Luo clan's elder, but that doesn't mean you get to screw me over. But the deal was already done, and Li Jingtian had no choice but to face the music, that's right. You're all eyesores, so come on. Ha! The 4 howled and, with bloodshot eyes, jumped at him. The 4 figures merged in midair and caused this Mad Dipper to gasp as he took 3 steps back. Overwhelmed with shock, Li Jingtian knew this was their unity tactic, but feeling it on his own skin was far more dreadful than hearing about it. The 4's powers combined, but not merely additively, but multiplied. Li Jingtian had no time to be careless, releasing his all in his next punch, colliding with their attack. Boom! With a loud noise, Li Jingtian was thrown 100 meters into the air, feeling the blood in his heart boiling. Yet the four savage figures didn't stop for a second. Curses! You want to go head-to-head? Fine then, bring it. Chapter 225, Necro Dragon's Screech Chapter shakes the four demons. Chapter 225, Necro Dragon's Screech shakes the four demons. Hi hi hi. Among the cawing-like laughter, Li Jingtian's eyes darted to the afterimages popping around him with all the seriousness he could muster. Who? Then, a sudden wind spelled the arrival of Sly Demon, giving him a resounding slap from the front before vanishing into thin air. Li Jingtian couldn't quite make out what just happened, but the reddening cheek bore testament. So fast. Zhuo Fan cried out. But it was far from over. It was now Violent Demon's turn. He gave Li Jingtian a slap from the front again before completing his attack with the same vanishing act. What was even more astonishing was that he hit the same spot. It followed with Scrooge Demon and Wimp Demon, slapping him in the same place. Li Jingtian's anger got the better of him as he roared, "You damn little shits, what you think you're doing hitting the same cheek? Come on, here's the other." Hi hi hi, what's our entertainment got to do with you? A cackle came from all around in waves. While Zhuo Fan squinted with a thoughtful gaze, curious, Violent Demon was never that fast. How is it that his speed increased even when he is still injured? Yet, his attack got weaker. I wonder. Elderly, let them hit you. Zhuo Fan shouted. Li Jingtian was stumped, haven't I been hit enough already as it is? But thinking about it again, he soon realized Zhuo's aim and grinned. You little shits, I will pay those slaps back 100-fold. Taking a deep breath, Li Jingtian roared, you bunch of mongrels, let's see if you have the guts to hit my other cheek. Hi hi hi, no we won't. We'll only hit just that one. The four's creepy laughter echoed again, followed by another slap on Li Jingtian's cheek. But before the hand could even tickle Li Jingtian's face, a large hand clutched it. Li Jingtian snickered at Sly Demon, his eyes sparkling, damn bastard, didn't I tell you to hit me on the other cheek? Now, you're mine. Curses, we've been had. Gasping, Sly Demon found that Li Jingtian's words were all to goad him into slapping again. Now that Li Jingtian knew Sly Demon's target, regardless of the speed employed, it was easy to catch him when Li Jingtian's guard was up. This was also Zhuo Fan's plan when he spoke out before. Li Jingtian's grip tightened. There was no way Sly Demon could get out of Li Jingtian's grip, not when he was 3 layers weaker. The other demons shifted around at high speed as they panicked, damn, we've been had. He, time to meet your maker. Your unity tactic is done for. Snickering, Li Jingtian slapped Sly Demon's head. With such power behind it, especially when it came from the 6th layer of Radiant Stage Li Jingtian, it was really a one-way ticket to the afterlife. Any one of the demons was clear on that. The Sly Demon started struggling and crying out, I'm dead, so dead. For real this time. Oh God, oh gods, I'm gonna die, but the oddest thing happened. In this critical moment the other 3 demons didn't rush to save him, but were crying out in fear. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed, his mind making the right adjustments to his train of thoughts. Who? Yet, this mighty palm hit nothing but air in the end. Li Jingtian was shocked, watching Sly Demon's head sinking into his shoulders to dodge the bullet. When the demon's head popped back out, he sighed relieved. God darn it. You're in my hand already, so why won't you just die? Li Jingtian was consumed by rage as he launched a flurry of punches. But with incredible shock, Sly Demon, despite having his arm in a vice, twisted around in this limited space he was in, dodging every one of those deadly attacks. Li Jingtian was slack-jawed. What the hell is this? What kind of movement is that? But what truly took the cake was the three demons around still crying around in fear, but were not lending Sly Demon any helping hand. Were they abandoning him or confident in their brother's power? In a blink, Li Jingtian was at a complete loss. These four scheming demons were freaks in the truest sense of the word. Elderly, watch out. Zhuo Fan warned, and Li Jingtian saw the other three demons flying at him. But their speed was far from fast as before, giving Li Jingtian time to react. As his hands still held onto Sly Demon, his leg swept. But what happened next was downright bizarre. The three demons actually closed their eyes in fear, then leaned back to dastardly avoid the kick while still going straight for Li Jingtian. What the hell? What just happened? Not only can I not make sense of anything they're doing, I can't even anticipate their moves. 1 minute they were charging in with all bravado, the next they were flitting all over the place in fear. But one thing was certain, they were on the advantage. Ah! With a cry, Violent Demon grabbed Li Jingtian's hand that held Sly Demon and chomped. Li Jingtian let go from the pain, and Sly Demon rejoiced in his newfound freedom. The four demons then returned into circling Li Jingtian at high speeds and letting out eerie laughter. He may be a martial fanatic, and fearless in face of adversity, but fighting these four demons had him at his wit's end. He couldn't make heads or tails when they were weak or strong. It was like hitting frickin' cotton. The four noticed his predicament and laughed as they charged. Brothers, let's fleece this guy and shame him thoroughly. Oh! The other cheered, and Li Jingtian turned serious, eyeing the afterimages around him. But then, they up and vanished, appearing instead as hazy images, as if ghosts from the underworld. Li Jingtian punched. He hit nothing, of course, while the ghosts wrapped around his body. In a blink, his jacket and storage ring left him soundlessly. As if swallowed by those grey ghosts. When the ghosts drew away, they once again let out creepy laughter. Li Jingtian was left in flimsy undergarments, watching his surroundings in shock. I see. So this is their unity tactic. As expected from a demonic skill, striking at the heart of things. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and shouted, Elderly, we are not their match. Retreat at once. Zhuo Fan was the first to fly away. Li Jingtian gnashed his teeth and snorted in anger before following suit. The four figures reappeared as they watched the pair leave with smiles. Humph, that old geezer thinks he can get away after humiliating us. Hi, brothers, charge. Oh! Under Violent Demon's order, they all cried in unison and gave chase. They were not in the least bit slower than Li Jingtian, perhaps even faster. Li Jingtian threw a look back and paled as he arrived next to Zhuo Fan. They are clearly in the third layer of Radiant stage, so how are they surpassing my speed? They'll soon be upon us. No worries, that's only the third brother's cultivation method, which focused on speed alone. Even if he does catch up to us, he can't do jack squat. Snickering, Zhuo put on an ambiguous smile. Li Jingtian was startled, but clueless nonetheless. Elderly, once they get close, we'll finish them off in a blink. What? Li Jingtian cried, how? He had tangled with the four at full power to no avail. He couldn't find any real way of dealing with these weird quadruplets. Zhuo Fan said, they use a unity tactic, so getting rid of one is of course impossible. You need to defeat all four of them at the same time. Going after just one is pointless. Then how? Li Jingtian muttered. Smiling, Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Elderly, do you recall Wraith Style's third move? Li Jingtian's eyes lit up and nodded, as both of them broke out in laughter. Then, shall we do this together? Li Jingtian asked. Of course. Rather be safe than sorry. Zhuo Fan smiled and his hand made a sign, with Li Jingtian copying him. The four demons were right behind the two when Violent Demon screamed, you two better give up and I may be inclined to spare your miserable lives. And, pay us for the broken bone staff, Scrooge Demon added. With a snicker, Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian shared a look and nodded. They grounded to a halt and shot straight for the oblivious four, shouting in unison, Wraith Style's third move, Necro Dragon Screech. Roar! With two draconic roars, two soul ripples shot straight for four scheming demons. They cried in shock, having not expected them to know a sound martial art, the bane of their unity tactic. A pity realizing wasn't the same as escaping it. In a blink, the mighty sound waves crashed into the four. They couldn't even wail their pain as they spat blood and toppled over like logs. Even the forest beneath them was affected, turning into a place of death as animal corpses littered the earth. After all, this was the combined attack of two souls. How could the average man handle it? These four third-layer Radiant stage experts were no different. Peace soon instilled once again, though carrying with it an eerie tune. Zhuo Fan and Elderly watched the dead-eyed four demons on the ground and gave a smug smile. Li Jingtian in particular. He snatched back his jacket and storage ring from Scrooge Demon and cursed, "God damn it, what are you doing still holding them when you're out like a light?" No wonder he's Scrooge Demon. Well, let me return the favor and make you demons in the truest sense by sending you all to hell. Elderly, wait. Zhuo Fan rushed to stop him. I still have use for the four. Seal their cultivation for now. Li Jingtian nodded after a pause, catching Zhuo Fan's drift. He, the four's hell has only just begun. Chapter 226, Even Sages Are Idiots, Sometimes. Chapter 226, Even Sages Are Idiots, Sometimes. Why do I feel so woozy? Violent Demon opened his heavy eyelids but his vision was still foggy. He reached to scratch his head but oddly enough, he couldn't. Looking down, damn it. I'm hogtied. Turning to his sides, his brothers were in the same boat, all strapped around a 3-meter thick tree. He wailed, "Oi, wake up you fools, we're strapped here." The three were roused and slowly getting their wits about them, what little they ever had. When they saw they were in a very tight pinch, and their cultivation sealed, they started wailing, "Oh bloody hell, who's the bastard that dares tie us four demons, your grandpas? Release us right now, or I'll give you a fate worse than death." Ha, these little shits sure are bonkers. Look at them, like lambs to the slaughter yet still so feisty. A chuckle announced Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian's casual entrance in their field of view, one filled with derision. In response, the four rained curses. Li Jingtian's face was dark and was ready to hit them, "You damn mongrels, one more peep out of you and I'll have your heads." The barking halted on the spot, but their beady eyes still glared at the duo. Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian only laughed. These four were blokes, but at least knew to read the mood. They balked under the tiniest threat, making it much easier for what Zhuo Fan had in mind next. "Cough, I will now ask you some questions. Be honest, or I'll make sure you are 6 feet under." Zhuo Fan coughed dryly. The four just shook their heads and puffed out their chests, quite brave, or maybe moronic. "Ask away, but I won't answer one." Zhuo Fan brushed past their rash reaction and asked, "I heard you were sealed in Thunderswarm Mountain. How come you're out? Who released you?" "Don't know." Violent Demon shouted. Zhuo Fan snorted, "Nerves of steel I see." Elderly, waste him. "Wait, I really don't know." Violent Demon's courage was deflated on the spot as he pleaded, "I beg you, let us go. We've only been out for a few months and hardly played enough. We don't want to die." "Screw you, if you cherish your life so much, what are you doing posing as heroes?" Zhuo Fan glared. These little shits are only good at putting up an act. But they didn't know when to stop and almost fooled even him in thinking they were tough as nails. Violent Demon heard Zhuo Fan's demand and nodded, all while his brothers were snickering. But a glare from the eldest brother had them fall in line. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes, "I've never seen such top-notch weirdos in either of my lives." But the doubts he had were far from cleared. You're saying someone let you out and yet you don't know? You expect me to buy such an obvious lie? Our lives are in your hands. We'd never dare do anything of the sort. We really don't know. Violent Demon was bitter as he tried to painstakingly remember. 8 months ago, we were still trapped in the Thunder Swarm Mountain, struck by thousands of lightning daily. Then, a sudden crack opened in the barrier. But when we got out, there was no one there. So we went about doing the usual, killing, burning, pillaging, ruining some cities and clans, you know, the works. Hold up, why on earth did you start doing that anyway? Zhuo Fan blinked. The four looked at each other and sneered, with Violent Demon growing cocky in his creepy laughter. I can tell with one look you're a bookworm and narrow-minded. We are demonic heroes. What demonic cultivator out there doesn't pillage? The more we kill, the evilier we are, the further we walk on the demonic path. And our demonic hero's life will thus find its glorious meaning. For lunatics is more like it. Li Jingtian mocked. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose, getting pissed as well. You're the narrow-minded ones. I have studied the demonic path my entire life, even becoming the demonic emperor. And then here you are telling me I'm the shallow one when it comes to it. At the end of it all, the so-called demonic path comes down to one word only, selfishness. Any and all demonic cultivators are cool-headed, working only to further their benefits by any means necessary. In fact, pillaging is against our path. For us, this is only a means to an end, not our purpose. But these four blokes turned the method into a purpose. They couldn't be more wrong. If the demon path goal was this, then the entire world would have long turned on them and wiped them out. Just why the hell did the demon scheming sect even take them in? Zhuo Fan held his head, not bothered to waste any more time with these blokes. But his heart was in doubt, just who released them? And why? He thought for a while but found no answer. Zhuo Fan continued, why did you attack us then? Who told you to? Dumb luck. Violent Demon mumbled. Zhuo Fan shook his head, elderly, waste him. Wait, I'm being honest here. Violent Demon looked at Zhuo Fan on the verge of crying. Why is this lil bro so bent on wasting people? He was even more violent than even himself, that's the truth of it. Since our escape from Thunder Swarm Mountain, we laid 4 cities to ruin and killed around 500,000 people. We soon found ourselves bored and were about to choose our 5th city to waste when we met an imp at some point and made a bet with him. Who knew we'd lose and had to promise to look for ingredients in his stead. And where were we supposed to find it? Robbing people, of course. Especially those in the profound heaven stage or above. Their rings must be loaded with ingredients. So, you saw us flying there and just up and threw your black staff at us? Zhuo Fan stared Violent Demon down, looking for lies and forcing him to squeeze a nod. We thought we'd find plenty of good stuff and complete the bet, but who knew we'd fail right at the start? Such a dumb luck, wah. Violent Demon started bawling like a kid, which threw the other 3 into doing the same. Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian were stumped. These little twerps are weirdos, no kidding. One minute they were savage, the next they played the victim, like wrong children. Fine, don't cry. Whoever cries, I'll waste him. Zhuo Fan shouted and the tears grounded to a halt. Zhuo Fan shook his head inwardly, I just can't tell when they're being real or just faking it. But he still had some doubts that needed clarified. You guys know when to concede having lost a bet? Of course. We are demonic heroes, when have we ever been anything but trustworthy? Violent Demon puffed up his chest and spoke self-righteously, the other brothers followed suit. Looking him in the eye, Zhuo Fan walked to him and squinted. The 4 looked back cautiously, their hearts in their throat. Li Jingtian came before Zhuo Fan and said, Steward Zhuo, can we trust anything that came out of their mouths? Zhuo Fan nodded and said, their heads may be screwed on wrong and speaking in tongues, but they are more or less telling the truth. The one who released them wished to incite chaos in Tianyu. They're not here for us. Then, we can rest easy and continue onward to Thunder Swarm Mountain. I was afraid our tracks were followed and someone laid a trap for us. Li Jingtian sighed. Zhuo Fan nodded, but his face was dead serious. Like this, the two stood there in silence for a while. Zhuo Fan was mulling over something and Li Jingtian stayed nearby so he wouldn't disturb. As for the four demons, they were watching the duo nervously, worried for their poor lives. Finally, Li Jingtian couldn't help but voice his confusion. Steward Zhuo, are you thinking about our trip to Thunder Swarm Mountain or how to deal with these guys? Ha ha ha, since these little guys' interference wasn't on purpose, then Thunder Swarm Mountain will be safe. As for these weirdos, I'm of a mind to recruit them. It just so happens that I have a unity tactic on me that suits them like a glove. Zhuo Fan smiled. Li Jingtian nodded. I knew Steward Zhuo is lenient and found them appealing. But, Steward Zhuo, don't you need to think it further? You may offend the demon scheming sect if you take them. Hardly. Since demon scheming sect threw them away and ignored them for 60 years, it won't matter. Moreover, true great men don't mind trifles and are unafraid of some petty danger. So stop thinking as if this is a matter of epic importance. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Then Steward Zhuo wants to. Sighing, Zhuo Fan took out the bloodworm gourd and frowned. I no longer have on me cold spiritual beast blood, so how can I place an active bloodworm egg in the pills and hoodwink the four morons into taking them? Their brains may be slow, but they are radiant stage experts still. Li Jingtian watched him oddly and blinked in awkwardness. Steward Zhuo, they are under our complete control. I assume there's no need to go as far as hoodwinking them into eating the pill as well. Shuddering, Zhuo Fan went beet red and face slapped himself. What a fool I am. I deceived Li Jingtian into taking the bloodworm because he was just too amazing. But against these four little twerps under my control I don't need to waste so much time. I'll just give it to them. Sigh, here I am saying others have screwed up heads, while mine is on the fritz as well. Zhuo Fan blushed hotter, even avoiding Li Jingtian's gaze. Elderly, please forget that just now. Li Jingtian stifled a laughter, watching this treacherous Steward Zhuo, who knew he'd be so oblivious today. Steward Zhuo, could you give me 2 of those worms? I want to try stuffing it into others' mouths as well. Li Jingtian snickered, as he saw Zhuo Fan closing in on the 4. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow and smiled, sure. Thus the 2, with 2 worms each, snickered at the 4 demons. The 4 were now shaking in fear and wailing. What are you planning? Haven't we been honest here? Why are you still? Bloodworms entered each of their mouths, forever branding them with the Luo clan's seal. Chapter 227, Godly Tactic. Chapter 227, Godly Tactic. With that settled, Zhuo Fan had Li Jingtian release the 4 and restore their cultivation. The first thing the 4 did with their newfound freedom was to band together and assume that dumb pose again. Humph, you got some nerve tying us up and feeding us worms. This shame has to be paid back. Even if you surrender, we will not spare your miserable lives. Yeah, we won't spare your miserable lives, for sure. The other 3 demons mimicked Violent Demon. Yet Li Jingtian and Zhuo Fan shared a look and sneered. The 4 demons were puzzled. What's going on? Why aren't they cowering? Before they could make sense of anything, a blood mark appeared on their heads and threatened to burst their skulls like a balloon. The 4 forewent their haughty attitude in favor of rolling on the ground and holding their heads, all while their eyes threatened to explode from how bloodshot they were. Zhuo Fan sauntered over and sneered. Then, explained the deal with the bloodworms. This seemed to get through to them, that they were at the mercy of a kid. If you want to live, listen closely. Of course we will, so stop it already. My head's about to pop. Yeah, you're our boss now. Screw that rotten old Violent Demon. You bastard, no sense of loyalty. Haven't we got the same mother? Daddy, please get rid of these treacherous bastards. I'm more than enough to look after you. They are not worth shit. Zhuo Fan's face twitched and Li Jingtian's mood sank. These little shits have no shame at all. They were the most immoral radiant stage expert the two ever saw. Zhuo Fan was still having second thoughts if taking this immoral four under him would only come back to haunt him. Even calling me a damn daddy. Sigh, God, I hope this won't come back to bite me. Zhuo Fan lamented inside and his hand sign changed, relieving the four of their pain. The four demons went on their knees on the spot and hugged Zhuo Fan's legs. Daddy, I'm yours forever and always. Oh, please don't let that bug give your child a tummy ache. Zhuo Fan's brows were shuddering and kicked the fool. Not one damn bone in your back. What? Daddy wants to see us show off our backbone. With a shine in their eyes, the four joined together in their retarded pose and shouted, "We are the demonic heroes, the abominable four. Our daddy is, Daddy, what was your name again?" Zhuo Fan felt like spitting blood. Li Jingtian was laughing his heart out. Who'd ever believe these four weirdos, the four scheming demons, who had him on the ropes before now had no morals whatsoever. Zhuo Fan glared at the four. "You are forbidden from calling me that, or I'll have the worms wreck your body so bad you'd be begging for the sweet release of death." "Yes, Mommy." The four imps puffed their chests, totally guessing Zhuo Fan's meaning. Zhuo Fan reeled, almost collapsing. He glared at them. "That's goddamn worse. You're even changing my gender. Call me Steward Zhuo." Zhuo Fan emphasized each word as he spat through gnashed teeth. The four stood at attention and shouted, "Yes, Steward Zhuo." Zhuo Fan finally breathed easier. No wonder they're called the abominable four scheming demons. It's like fighting with the demons of the underworld. He finally figured out why demon scheming sect ignored these dunces for 60 years. Spending but a moment around these fools would cut one's life short from anger. Though they had one redeeming quality, they were strong. With the Luo clan on the rise, it needed strong experts. Once the clan's situation stabilized, the first ones I'll put down for good will be these four weirdos. Zhuo Fan said, "You are now one of us now, so explain to me this unity tactic." Violent Demon looked at his brothers and spoke with difficulty. "It is a secret art of demon scheming sect. We can't reveal it." Zhuo Fan nodded. "That's how a human should act. At least they aren't complete wastes, knowing when to be loyal." Even if the demon scheming sect threw them away for 60 years, they were still protecting their secrets. But what he heard next filled Zhuo Fan with a sudden and most compelling urge to choke the life out of them. The thing is, only we four can train it. It's our secret. If we let it slip, we'll easily be defeated in the future. That's too dangerous. How about we tell you of demon scheming sects guarding array instead, or where they keep their scriptures, or where sect leader's room is perhaps. Zhuo Fan waved him off, clenching his fists hard. One could even hear the grinding of teeth. "You sure like spilling the beans on everything about the demon scheming sect." Zhuo Fan laughed from anger, already regretting his decision. "The day might come where you'd even sell me out." The four looked at each other but remained silent. Then they each looked elsewhere and started whistling. This only worked to fuel Zhuo Fan's rage as he barked, "Hurry up and fork out that unity tactic or I'll end you right here, right now." The four nodded in panic. That was fine, since their lives were in Zhuo Fan's hands. Not even the unity tactic could save them from this. So they started to string up all the details pertaining to the secret art. Li Jingtian listened from the side, now understanding what made the four's attacks so strange and hard to counter. The unity tactic only worked when four people were intrinsically connected on the biological and spiritual level. This unity tactic was called Four Hearts Formation, pointing at the four human emotions: happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy. Violent Demon trained anger to the point of being berserk. Once he struck, nothing could stand up to him. Scrooge Demon trained sorrow to the point of a grudge. He shifted from real to illusory, throwing the enemy off guard. He was swift like a ghost and impossible to throw off, giving his opponent a very hard time. Sly Demon trained happiness to the point of ecstasy. Swift like the wind, leaving behind only afterimages. Wimp Demon trained joy to the point of being whimsical. And since he was also cowardly by nature, he reached the peak of defensive arts. In short, the eldest brother was in charge of power, third bro in charge of speed, second bro and fourth bro in charge of movement arts. But even they were different, with second bro in charge of attacking movements while fourth bro with defensive ones. If any 4 people trained like this, they'd end up as waste. With only the eldest bro having enough power to do some damage, the other 3 couldn't do anything to their enemy. Yet, in this lay the crux of the 4 hearts formation. It allowed the 4 to combine their advantages and become one, effectively multiplying their power. This was why the 4 charged all together at Li Jingtian and gave him a hard time. The 4 of them turned into the eldest brother, Violent Demon. Then the 4 surrounded Li Jingtian but turned into third brother, Sly Demon. And why Li Jingtian could never harm Sly Demon once despite having him in his grip was all thanks to Wimp Demon's ability. Li Jingtian then ended up half naked because Scrooge Demon bestowed his ability on his brothers. This way, one man's ability was transferred to the 4. And since they were of 4, their power would multiply. The enemy would be left flabbergasted, unable to cope with the situation before meeting his ultimate demise. But if this secret was leaked, there was no more reason to fear them. As long as they stopped the 4's change into Violent Demon, they'd be finished. Because the other 3's power came nowhere near the first. So this strange formation had me on the ropes. Li Jingtian caressed his bead, but it does have a weakness. The 4 of you can't use all of your abilities at the same time. Otherwise, it would truly be insane. Really? Then I'll help them reach that point. With a sly grin, Zhuo Fan showed a jade slip, abominable 4 scheming demons, since you are now with me, I will make it worth your while. This is also a unity tactic, for division formation. The users would move to the 4 cardinal points, with the 5 elements endearing one another, making each one of you use all the others' abilities. Furthermore, it will also work to boost your personal ability by 3 layers. What? The 4 demons cried out and Li Jingtian smacked his lips. It's insane enough they can use all the others' abilities, but it can even increase their power by 3 layers? Ain't that the same as facing the 4 scheming demons at the 6th layer of Radiant stage? Zhuo Fan smiled, correct. With the 4 divisions amplifying each other, everyone can use anyone's ability. They will have speed, power, movements, defense, thus becoming true monsters. Not to mention, it complements the 4 hearts formation. As for raising them 3 layers, that's only in the beginning stage of the 4 division formation. Once they reached the mid stage, the amplification would raise their power by 6 layers. And if trained to peak, by a whole stage. In other words, the 4 of them will become as strong as a peak Radiant stage expert. Li Jingtian was slack-jawed, watching Zhuo Fan incredulous. Steward Zhuo, are you perhaps someone who fled a super sect or something? The 4 division formation is insanely more outrageous than the 4 hearts formation. Where the hell did you come up with this treasure? Secret. Zhuo Fan smiled mysteriously.
Chapter 228, Mystery Kid. Chapter 228, Mystery Kid. The 4 scheming demons were now thrilled, holding a much stronger unity tactic than the one they used before. But then Scrooge Demon suddenly said, Steward Zhuo, if it's of no trouble, could you perhaps, maybe pay us back for the bone staff? No worries. Zhuo Fan nodded. Scrooge Demon is a miser after all. He just got a better unity tactic for free yet still wants compensation for the 5th grade spiritual weapon. But since they were his men now, Zhuo Fan would naturally listen to their requests. Zhuo Fan sent Li Jingtian after the pieces of the black staff. He then added some diamond sand, and in the azure flame, the staff was instantly restored, even improved upon. The 4 scheming demons were jumping in joy for having their spiritual weapon back. Perhaps the excitement got to his head, or he was just plain petty, but Scrooge Demon pointed at Li Jingtian without an ounce of shame. "Steward Zhua, could you also give me that old guy's ring and clothes?" "What for?" Zhua Fan asked. Chuckling, Scrooge Demon spoke as a matter of factly, "We just lost them because we went unconscious. How else could that old guy take them from me? Blast it, they were mine to begin with, you hear?" Li Jingtian flew into a rage. "You little shit, what kind of logic is that? They are yours once they exchange hands." Zhua Fan's face sank. "Your twisted characters won't change, but you are never to use them on my men. Or else. I know, Steward Zhua, I will think better of him from now on." Noticing Zhua Fan's displeasure, and in fear of having the bug in his stomach go topsy-turvy, Violent Demon shouted in plea for mercy, "He, please excuse him. If he doesn't get to steal what he fancies, he'll sulk for a few days." Zhua Fan's cheek twitched. "That just means he's really stingy. From now on, do not touch what isn't yours." Violent Demon saw Scrooge Demon's eyes still fixed on Li Jingtian, shouting and turning his head forcefully. But that stubborn face had the duo not know how to respond to it. Among these 4 weirdos, Scrooge Demon is the worst. "I'll have to enforce extra security to stop this damn kleptomaniac." Clap. Zhua Fan got their attention, but Scrooge Demon was still very depressed. Zhua Fan ignored him. "Listen well. We are now going to Thunder Swarm Mountain, so you will be leading us since you know the way." But," the 4 shook their heads hesitantly, "we can't." Zhua Fan frowned. "Why?" "Steward Zhua, did you forget? We promised a child to get him an ingredient. The 4 scheming demons are demonic heroes of indomitable spirit, how can we disappoint him?" Zhua Fan eyes them deeply and nodded. If it were others, he'd be forcing them along. But these 4 weirdos were hardly honorable. If he left the 4 the impression he was about to force them out of their promise, without setting a precedent, wouldn't teaching them later be impossible? Pausing, Zhua Fan said, "Fine, we will first find the kid, give him the ingredient, then go to Thunder Swarm Mountain." "Steward Zhua, you really have it?" The 4 eyes shined. Zhua Fan nodded, "Of course." The 4 started whispering among each other and let out a strange laughter. Violent Demon even raised his head smug. "You see? I told you flying people had the ingredient on them, and I was right in attacking them. Eldest bro is brilliant." Hi, the other 3 gave thumbs up. Zhua Fan felt unwell for some reason. Their behavior raised many flags. But then again, this was their usual manner, so he let it slide. And so, Zhua Fan and Li Jingtian followed the 4 demons westward, reaching a tall mountain half a day later. In the sunset's glow, an 8-year-old kid sat on a meter-tall rock. He put something in his mouth from time to time and chewed.
As if noticing the newcomers, the kid's ears moved, and turned his head, revealing his sparkling eyes. But Zhua Fan's heart shuddered at the sight. As if a savage beast had set its gaze on him. His feeling that something was off only grew stronger. What's going on here? Why is a child not even a decade old making me feel such danger? Li Jingtian's eyes widened and said, "Steward Zhua, the child is in the 2nd layer of radiant stage." "What?" Crying out, Zhua Fan was incredulous. How was a kid such an expert? Another pygmy? But taking a closer look, he had quite the delicate features. If an old freak would have used his cultivation to keep his youth, it was still impossible to take the same appearance as this child. That left him with only one possibility: the child reached the radiant stage from a young age. Zhua Fan and Li Jingtian exchanged a glance of shock. Then also turned a vigilant eye to the 4 demons. These little shits only said they lost a bet with a kid, but not once mentioned he was a radiant stage expert. Was it on purpose? Why? Zhuo Fan squinted and his fists tightened. The kid didn't get up, still sitting on the rock as he spoke. You four are finally back. If you'd have been any later, I'd assume you ran away and make me go after you. The four shook like a leaf, quite afraid of him. Not only Wimp Demon, but even Sly Demon and Scrooge Demon. They all ducked behind Violent Demon whose legs were quivering. We would never do that. We ran twice already and don't dare do it again. Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian were in shock. How were the great four demons holding a kid in such fear? Was this second layer of Radiant Stage expert stronger than them who were a layer higher and using Unity tactic? The 3 days are almost up. Did you bring the ingredient? The kid turned a blind eye to Zhuo Fan and Elder Li and spoke coldly to the demons, like the judge about to hand over his sentence. The four shivered a nod and pointed at Zhuo Fan. They have it. Just search them. Zhuo Fan's face sank. He knew he just got sold out and was now looking into the kid's cold eyes. Take it out. The youth extended his hand. Zhuo Fan sensed no ill will from him and approached him. He noticed that the kid was holding a 4th-grade ingredient, purple root. The kid bit out of the purple root from time to time as he approached, chewing it like a snack. Zhuo Fan's heart was in shock. He's eating an alchemy ingredient before it's even refined. Even a Radiant Stage expert would have his meridians explode doing such a ridiculous thing. Yet the kid was just peachy, as if he could refine the ingredient naturally. Monster. It was Zhuo Fan's first time using this word on others, having gotten used to others usually using it on him. The kid then spoke before Zhuo Fan even took out the ingredient. Do you have any 5th grade or higher ingredients? The taste of these 4th grade ones is so flat. I'm tired of having this thing. Zhuo Fan's mouth twitched, picky brat. His hand flashed and revealed a snow-white mountain ginseng. This is a 5th grade ingredient, a 10,000 years old snow ginseng. It should fit your tastes. The kid's eyes lit up and snatched it pleased. It's been so long since I've tasted such a good ingredient. Curse those damn bastards in yellow. They only feed me slops. I almost died of hunger. Yellow? Raising an eyebrow, Zhuo Fan sank in thought. Who is he talking about? The only ones among the 7 houses are Regent Estate who wear yellow. But his thought didn't get far as the kid took a bite of the ginseng then showed an exasperatingly pleased expression. You 4 earned 3 more days of living. Go and search again. If you can't find anything, your heads will fall. The 4 demons were ecstatic and prostrated. Hold on. Zhuo Fan waved them off. Why do I feel you enslaved them? Wasn't it a bet and losing it made them search for an ingredient? Frowning, the kid was growing angry. Bet? I loathe gambling. The one time I ever bet, I lost. It forced me to eat wretched ingredients every day. From then on I vowed never to bet again. Then, Zhuo Fan wondered, why were the 4 demons helping him with ingredients? The kid spoke matter-of-factly. I caught these 4 pillaging their 4th city and was about to get rid of them. But they were willing to go around searching for ingredients in my stead, so I let them go for now. Besides, I am missing a few hands and can understand the saying, many hands make light work. I'd feel ashamed taking their lives after eating their ingredients. But since their crimes are too serious, they are to give me an ingredient every 3 days. They will keep doing this for as long as my trip outside lasts. This is also a means for them to atone. Zhuo Fan was startled. Why does it feel this kid is no less the weirdo the other 4 are? What does giving you ingredients have to do with their pillaging crimes? When he heard the kid spoke of stopping the 4 demons pillaging, he thought he was a typical righteous cultivator, helping the poor and all that. When in fact, the kid was the same as these 4 from the start, enslaving others to do his bidding. Just that he used it under the guise of punishing evil. Shit, 4 vile people and a hypocrite. None of them are any good. Then again, it doesn't seem I'm made of better cloth either. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose. He, how about we make a deal? The 4 are now under me, so I will give you 10 fifth-grade ingredients to let them leave with me. What do you say? 10. The kid's eyes lit up and drooled. But then he paused, revealing a sly grin. Since you have so many ingredients, you're not going anywhere. You'll stay right here and search for ingredients just as well. Eyes twitching, Zhuofan's face sank. Why, you greedy little piece of... Chapter 229, Tianyu's Strongest, Invincible Scamp. Chapter 229, Tianyu's Strongest, Invincible Scamp. Taking slow steps back, Zhuofan's cold eyes stared at the kid. Little brother, I won't take you for an ignorant child since you're a radiant stage expert. Are you going to force me into servitude? He, pillagers belong in prison, so it's only fitting they do some community service for a bit. But that was done by those 4. What's it got to do with me? Birds of a feather flock together. Since you're on the same side as them, then you're no better. A little punishment is only natural. Squinting, Zhuofan eyed that naive smile on the child, and grew angry. You can't go back once you started things. I do not like hitting children, but if... want to hit me? Ha, good. But let me warn you. I have no wish to kill you, so I will give you all 10 chances to challenge me. If you can win just once, I'll let you all go. The kid hooked his finger and beamed. Zhuofan walked back to Li Jingtian, but his eyes were more and more serious as he watched the kid. He may be in the second layer of radiant stage, but the kid was as calm as ever, even in the face of 4 people 1 layer stronger and another 4 layers stronger. He was confident in his victory. And how the 4 scheming demons were so scared of him. His power couldn't be judged based on his low cultivation. Zhuofan whispered to the 4 demons, how is his power? Is he strong, weak? The 4 demons looked at each other, and Violent Demon said cautiously, he is very strong, but still not able to beat me. The fact is, this kid is very sharp, picking the weakness of our 4 hearts formation with one look. How else could he defeat us? Zhuofan nodded, I see. How else could the 4 enter servitude if not having their unity tactic crushed? But to be sure, Zhuofan gave Li Jingtian a signal, elderly, you have to go all out on the kid. Hold nothing back. You have to kill him, and with how odd this kid is, the 4 demons' words can't be trusted either. We can't afford to lose because of them. Li Jingtian nodded, bloodthirst setting into his gaze. He suddenly roared and released billowing black energy. His immense power made the sky and earth tremble alike. The 4 scheming demons were able to confuse Li Jingtian thanks to their 4 hearts formation, stopping him from releasing his full might. They now realized how terrifying Li Jingtian was. If Li Jingtian had gone all out from the start, Violent Demon would have been long dead, in one move even. This would ultimately prevent the 4 brothers from using 4 hearts formation. The 4 united could break steel, while scattered were like grass. But the kid was still sitting on that rock with arms crossed and unafraid. Not one change in his expression was seen. This made Zhuofan frown. Is he faking it or truly belittling Li Jingtian? If it were the latter, the kid's power had to be huge. Wraith style, first move, Soaring Demonic Dragon. Roar. With a dragon roar, Li Jingtian shot at the kid, surrounded by a black dragon image bearing its fangs and claws, ready to rip him to pieces. Explosions were heard with every step he took, even from the air. It seemed as if the space couldn't hold his power. The rocks around him were pulverized as well. So strong. Even Zhuofan admired Li Jingtian. This martial fanatic was a true fit for wraith art. Its power was displayed fully in the hands of this man, showing shocking phenomenons. But the bad feeling never left Zhuofan. The kid was just too calm, not putting Li Jingtian in his eyes. What's going on? Even a peak radiant stage would show some reaction. But the kid... Yawning just as Li Jingtian got to him, the kid's reaction to this expert's incredible display of power was to extend a hand. A groan had everyone watch slack-jawed. Li Jingtian's mighty power was stopped as simple as that, by a boy's hand. The black dragon image threw a fit behind Li Jingtian, wanting to break out of its shackles, but the kid had the dragon powerless under his thin arm. Even the world started taking different hues. On one side, Li Jingtian's power was still going strong, causing a veritable storm to blow over, while on the other, there was only peace and serenity behind the boy. Even sunshine warmed the gentle nature. The black dragon's onslaught held no sway here. How is this possible? Zhuo Fan watched agape. This may very well be the very first time someone thoroughly shocked him. Li Jingtian was sweating buckets, doing his damnedest in getting out of this child's hold. It was the same as a crazed bull meeting 100-meter-tall cliff. Regardless of the raw power it had, it couldn't budge the cliff 1 inch. The kid grinned. First attempt. The kid grabbed Li Jingtian's arm and just threw him. Boom! A huge rock was blown to rubble. Zhuo Fan and the 4 demons were shocked and jumped in the air. Once the dust settled, the view made them gasp. The huge rock was flattened in an instant, and Li Jingtian struggled to crawl from beneath the rubble. He spat blood and fear crept into his gaze. Only he who met the kid head-on knew the dread he instilled. In front of the weird kid's eyes, he looked like a baby, easy to kill as if lifting a finger. This was his first time ever Mad Dipper experienced such powerlessness. Zhuo Fan and the others were watching bug-eyed in fear and shock. None saw it coming, that a pup had such insane amount of power. Not even in the sacred domain Zhuo Fan saw such freaks. Li Jingtian was in the 6th layer of Radiant Stage and a body cultivator genius while using a profound ranked martial art. He had enough power to face a peak Radiant Stage expert. But today, before a mere boy in the 2nd layer of Radiant Stage, he was powerless. The kid didn't use any kind of martial art, only the power of his hand to topple and throw Li Jingtian. What kind of freaky power is this? Zhuo Fan paled, watching the air with a blank mind. There, the kid happily sat in mid-air, with the mountain ruined. I'll be waiting for you on that peak. Don't forget, 3 days. Oh, and your 10 ingredients? Zhuo Fan wiped his brow, shivering as he took the ingredients for the boy. The kid was delighted as he took them. You're not bad, kiddio. The more ingredients you find, the invincible scamp, Gu Santong, will reward you heavily. Then he vanished into thin air. Zhuo Fan bobbed his head on, and only after hitting his chest did the shivering stop. He sighed, God, that monster is insanely powerful. Steward Zhuo, who did he say he was? The wounded Li Jingtian swayed in his flight to Zhuo Fan. His eyes were incredulous. Zhuo Fan frowned. He seemed to have called himself, Invincible Scamp, Gu Santong. What, you know him elderly? Holy Mother of God! No wonder I lost so miserably. Of all the rotten luck, why did I have to meet that devil? How could I be so blind? Li Jingtian slapped his head, regretting so much he was close to tears. Zhuo Fan asked hurriedly, just who is this Gu Santong? Hi, for Steward Zhuo to not know even the likes of invincible scamp Gu Santong, you must be dumber than a rock. A creepy snicker came from behind Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan's temple popped a vein, his mouth twitched and glared at the 4 demons. You knew who he was and what he was capable of, didn't you? Damn right we knew. We are demonic heroes, knowing all the experts in Tianyu. With how renowned this devil is, how couldn't we recognize him? You think everyone's a bonehead like you? Violent Demon snickered and laughed at the two's misfortune. Zhuo Fan tightened his fists and cooled his anger. Then, did you make us come here on purpose, and face that devil? Moreover, that bet was fake, right? Hi, of course. We are demonic heroes, never done a good thing in our lives. We were so angry when that devil suppressed us and had no way to vent. But got you to join in too, and seeing you suffer brings a tear of joy in my eyes. And have you ever seen a demonic cultivator holding one's end of a bet? You got served, ha. The 4 scheming demons danced in joy and made a mockery out of Zhuofan. Zhuofan popped another vein, red from anger. Never thought the clever him, the cunning him, would be had by a bunch of schmucks. God damn it. Caw. Zhuofan's finger moved and made a sign. The 4 were now sporting bloody marks on their forehead, wailing on the ground from pain and begging for mercy. But Zhuofan held no pity for them. If I don't put these little shits in their place, they'll be the death of me. Li Jingtian watched the 4's pain in silence. They were total retards. They knew their lives were in the hands of another yet still dared to fool him. They only had themselves to blame for this. Now that they were also caught in the middle with invincible scamp Gu Santong, he knew they were in deep trouble now. Li Jingtian frowned and sighed. Chapter 230, The Legend of a Monster. Chapter 230, The Legend of a Monster. Steward Zhua, we know our wrongs. Spare us. Sly Demon rolled on the ground begging. What's Steward Zhua? It should be Daddy Zhua. Let us go, we won't do it again. Scrooge Demon was wailing in pain. What Daddy Zhua? It should be Granddaddy Zhua. Please. Violent Demon was even crying, but he didn't get to finish as he glared at Scrooge Demon. Then he punched his face. Damn it, you dare take advantage of me? Scrooge Demon held his purple eye, having no clue what happened. But Wimp Demon couldn't take the pain and said, Elder bro, it was the second bro calling him daddy. Then you started calling him granddaddy. Don't blame him. Widening his eyes, Violent Demon cuffed Wimp Demon. Bastard, silence is frickin' golden. Why do you hit me when it was all your fault? Scrooge Demon instantly understood having heard Wimp Demon. He charged with a rage-filled fist. Wimp Demon was glum, and even though he didn't join the hustle and bustle, he circled behind eldest brother and whacked him with a fist whenever he had the chance. Third bro, Sly Demon, who wished for nothing more than to see the chaos blow out of proportions, held his head from the pain while cheering from the side. The 4 thus entered their routine squabble, making it all so lively. Zhuofan's face twitched from all the ruckus, popping a 3rd vein. He never met such hard-to-deal with weirdos. They even had time to quarrel while being tortured by the bloodworm. It seems a bit of pain is not up to your standards. Then how about we kick things up a notch? Zhuofan made another sign. The 4 demons spurted blood and turned blood red all over as they scrambled from the pain. It was so excruciating they hadn't had the mind to quarrel anymore. Zhuofan panted, almost blowing his top at the 4. When he calmed down, he said, Elderly, who is that Gu Santong? Why is he so dreadful? Shaking his head, Li Jingtian sighed, I am not clear either, but legends say Gu Santong is called Invincible Scamp. Undefeated throughout his life. 3 centuries ago, he caused a storm through Tianyu, throwing the empire on the brink of collapse. He later vanished into thin air, never hearing from him since. I never thought we'd meet him here. What, 300 years ago? How is he looking so young if he's so old? Zhuofan was shocked. Li Jingtian was also puzzled, I am not sure either. I only heard rumors about him. If he truly is the invincible scamp, then he is indeed 3 centuries old. Or perhaps, he is Invincible Scamp's descendant, carrying his name. Hi, Invincible Scamp Gu Santong has caused immense waves with his indomitable power at the time, how can someone else have his title? Moreover, you've seen his method, if he is not the real Invincible Scamp, how could you have ended up in such a sorry state? Violent Demon shouted his mockery, while the other demons wailing at the side turned into a creepy combination with snickering in the mix. Li Jingtian caressed his beard and nodded. The 4 little shits' words were mostly senseless blabber, dumb as wood, but they spoke reason, sometimes. He didn't believe there was anyone outside this legendary invincible scamp that could bring him to such a sorry state. Zhuofan snapped a glance at the 4, Elderly doesn't know about Gu Santong, but you do. Damn right. This geezer may be old, but he knows shit, having been born way before the war 300 years ago. Violent Demon mocked. Zhuo Fan scowled. You're not much older than elderly, so how do you know then? He, Steward Zhuo, there's something you're missing. When Gu Santong was causing havoc in the empire, he not only shamed the 7 houses, but the entire Tianyu empire. This made his name taboo to the whole empire. Among the 7 houses, only house lords know of his endeavors, and that only passed through speech from the previous house lords. The elders hardly know a thing about him. And that is because of the shame he represented. Hi. Violent Demon's creepy laughter seemed to mock the 7 houses. Demon's scheming sect is different. Even before Tianyu was in uproar, our elders warned us to not get entangled with this monster. I can only blame our rotten luck to have stumbled on him just as we got out of that wretched place. Ah, woe is me. Having recalled the bitter experience, Violent Demon started crying along with his 3 demons, who were also wailing on top of things. Zhuo Fan had it. Stop crying and tell the truth for once. Alright. The 4 demons' rivers of tears dried up on the spot. We ask that Steward Zhuo spares us. Let us clear our thoughts. Zhuo Fan squinted and sighed, but still made a sign to stop their torture. They then resumed their creepy laughter and jumped in joy. Zhuo Fan saw they hadn't learned their lesson even a fraction, and he was fuming mad. Explain it to me clearly and I'll forego your previous transgression. Or else. His fingers moved, threatening them with more torture, and they panicked. Steward Zhuo, don't worry, we know when to be serious. We won't ever dare fool you again. Zhuo Fan nodded satisfied. The 4 looked at each other, and Violent Demon was the first to start. As far as we know, invincible scamp Gu Santong's life is an odd one. Simply unheard of. What do you mean? Zhuo Fan frowned. Violent Demon shook his head and said, it's so damn baffling that even we don't know the full extent of this oddity. Zhuo Fan almost fell and his eyes started spewing flames of rage as he cursed, cut the crap. Carry on to egg me, and I'll give you a world of pain. Zhuo Fan was about to do just that when Sly Demon jumped in. Wait, Steward Zhuo, eldest bro is serious. Gu Santong is truly baffling that even we know little of him. He just sprung up out of nowhere. With the imperial family, the empire's 3 guardian sects, and the 7 houses' power, not even an ant could have caused such havoc, least of all a man. But isn't it bizarre how Gu Santong just popped up from thin air? Zhuo Fan's hand stopped in mid-sign. The 4 demons had some screws loose, most of the time, but Sly Demon was speaking some reason. It was baffling how an unknown powerful devil just showed up like that. From the sacred domain perhaps? Zhuo Fan spoke, go on. Violent Demon continued, the kid always had this appearance, that of an 8-year-old boy. But he was only in the 5th layer of Profound Heaven stage at the time. But after 300 years, he is still as young, yet his cultivation increased to the 2nd layer of Radiant stage, quite slow I might add. What never changed all this time is him holding the title of Tianyu's strongest. Before, he was the strongest beneath the Radiant stage, and now he is the strongest in the Radiant stage. Oh, that baffling. Raising an eyebrow, Zhuo Fan's heart was filled with suspicions. If this kid was an old monster, did he perhaps use cultivation to keep such appearances? That may also explain why his cultivation went so slow. But who was dumb enough to keep himself as young as a child? They'd usually stop around 16. This way they could partake in some of the more pleasant aspects of life. This seemed to have made Zhuo Fan recall a veil-covered face and the demure figure. But Zhuo Fan shook his head at that thought. He was aiming to become an overlord on the demonic path. How could he ever let himself get bogged down by kinship? Perhaps the kid's thinking the same thing. So far, Zhuo Fan could understand him. Continue. He is really queer. He doesn't like anything, except eating ingredients. If it was anyone else, he'd be already blown to bits by the potent ingredients. But he is unscathed. Steward Zhuo, I'm sure you can imagine by now, which house's ingredients are the most appealing when this freak ever ran out of them. Imperial family and the 7 houses? Zhuo Fan's eyes widened and suddenly showed a sly grin. Could it be? Hi, Steward Zhuo sure is evil, thinking about plunging the world into chaos. Though it is the truth nonetheless. The kid went to Pill King Hall's fields and picked them clean of any and all herbs ranging from 2nd to 7th grade. He even gobbled those 8th grade ones that took 1,000 years to grow. How could Pill King Hall sit still after that? So their elders chased after him. The kid didn't use any martial art, but his fists are insanely powerful. In just a single move, the elders were wiped out completely. I am sure this old geezer here knows the taste of that fist the best, he. Violent demon mocked Li Jingtian. Li Jingtian nodded, breaking out in sweat just thinking about it. In their clash, Gu Santong didn't even punch, only threw him like nothing and already gave him a deep wound. If it were a punch instead, his life would have been forfeited. Such outstanding power. Taking a deep breath, Li Jingtian shuddered from the memory and fear crawled into his heart. This never happened in all his long years as Mad Dipper. Zhuo Fan understood his state of mind and paled as well. He patted Elder Li's shoulder in comfort, and spoke with seriousness, and then? Hi. Then Pill King Hall requested assistance from Regent Estate and they sent their elders on the kid's trail, only to suffer the same fate. All the while Gu Santong was rampant in robbing ingredients everywhere he went, even attacking the warehouses of the 7 houses and leaving them with nothing. Without a choice, the always squabbling 7 houses put aside their differences and worked together for the first time. They issued the worst and most cruel order since the Empire's existence, the Demon Purging Decree. Say what? Zhuo Fan's eyes widened in shock. He recalled how everyone spoke of this Demon Purging Decree as the most gruesome thing in existence. And the first use was on Gu Santong. But how was that kid still alive now? Just what kind of power does he have? How could he fight against an entire nation and only as a damn profound heaven expert? Chapter 231, The Third Divine Dragon. Chapter 231, The Third Divine Dragon. Once the Demon Purging Decree was issued, every place Gu Santong had been was burned to the ground. It reached a point where every man, woman, and child shouted at him to die out of fear. He was treated like a public enemy. It didn't matter where he went, because the entire empire was against him. Isolated and despised, this mere child began to feel glum. Rumor has it that when the 7 houses venerables chased, the kid had no heart to fight and fled. The Demon Purging Decree showed results in the end, at least it cut the little monster's fighting spirit. Zhuo Fan nodded. He was clear on that feeling, as demonic cultivators had often stumbled upon such a situation. Because they killed some righteous people for some reason, the others disregarded the truth and demanded their deaths. All because they were labeled demonic. In such a helpless and isolated state, anyone would feel miserable. For this exact reason, his firm belief was that a demonic cultivator had to stand on his own, to cultivate a certain state of mind. Even if alone, one needed to have the courage to face the whole world. As such, he, the demonic emperor, didn't establish a sect or a cult after his rise, becoming the loneliest of the 8 emperors. This was also the nature of demonic cultivators, though when problems arose there would have been no one to rely on. Gu Santong may be invincible, but he was still very much like a child. The isolation and hatred had an even greater effect, leaving him with a trauma. The Demon Purging Decree is psychological warfare. Zhuo Fan sighed and said to Violent Demon, then how did he remove his heart demon to become the current invincible scamp? Hi, Steward Zhuo sure is smart. You caught on right away he didn't have that title before. Violent Demon laughed. Zhuo Fan grinned, becoming isolated bores heavy on one's mind. In this state, even if powerful, it was still far from becoming invincible. Precisely. When the 7 houses venerables went after the kid, he was slowly reaching the end of his rope, on the brink of annihilation. But something happened then, and the kid changed completely. After only 3 months, when people thought he was on his deathbed and were searching for his corpse, he emerged. But if before he still had an innocent and childish manner, this time, he was devil incarnate. His actions struck fear in not only the 7 houses, but the imperial family as well. His style was very much like ours from the demonic path. Hi. Oh, what did he do? Zhuo Fan grew excited and Li Jingtian eager. Breaking out in laughter again, the light and violent demon's eyes danced. Do unto others as others have done unto you. Once he appeared again, he threatened to destroy the entire empire. Didn't you declare demon purging decree on me, burning any place I have been to isolate me? Fine then, I won't wait for you to destroy the cities, I'm just going to do it myself and save you the trouble. Every place I visit will be wiped out. When I leave this Tianyu, the empire will be an empty one. Hi, Steward Zhuo, old Li, could you even fathom the kid's baffling power? Every single punch and kick of his razed cities to the ground. This not only had the 7 houses scared, but the entire Tianyu was shaking in their boots. They had to be crying inside at the time, thinking, what did it have to do with them? We're innocent. Ha, a bunch of morons if you ask me, the lot of them. The other 3 demons were also excited, wishing they had been there to stir trouble. Sly Demon even spoke over Violent Demon. Violent Demon glared then kicked him. Damn you, Sly Demon, this is the best part. I'm telling the story. Sly Demon smirked and snorted inside but made no comment. Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian were speechless. Li Jingtian asked, I once heard of the kid's notoriety, but never knew he was so vicious. He wanted to destroy an empire, by himself? But Zhuo Fan shook his head, clapping in admiration, his guts are commendable. I would have done the same thing in his stead. Humph, as for those who called themselves innocent, at the moment of the demon purging decree, there was no one who stood up to the 7 houses' slaughter. In fact, they even pitched in. They were anything but innocent. And since they became enemies, mercy and regrets have no place here. Zhuo Fan snickered and nodded, the little imp is starting to grow on me. Li Jingtian looked long at Zhuo Fan and found his impression was not unlike his own. In this cruel world, it was kill or be killed. Even innocent killings were the order of the day. And in the case of enemies, there was even less remorse. Steward Zhuo is truly a man who will make countless sacrifices. Li Jingtian sighed inside. And then? Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian asked in unison. Glaring at his 3 brothers to curb their interruption, Violent Demon continued, he, what followed next was a prime example of how a true demonic cultivator should act. In but half a year, the kid fulfilled his promise, wiping out every place he went to until his onslaught had covered half the empire. Any and all who heard his coming, sent the people fleeing for their lives. The 7 houses venerable joined hands to surround him, to no avail. The kid still went on killing regardless of opposition. He then started to be referred as the all-ravaging child. To show that everywhere he went, he left ravaged lands behind him. The imperial family could no longer take it, seeing the 7 houses in disarray. If it didn't intervene now, the empire would be done for. So it sent its 50 divine dragons. Violent Demon started sputtering as he spoke from the excitement. As if he was the one laying Tianyu to ruin instead. Zhuo Fan waved him off, hold on, how many divine dragons was that again? Violent Demon raised 5 fingers, 50, why? SSS. Gasping, Zhuo Fan was shocked, there were 50 divine dragons then? You mean to say 50 jade flute divine sword Feng Qiu Bai at peak radiant stage? He, Steward Zhuo, you've got it all wrong. The aptitudes of divine dragons at the time weren't as high as the current ones. How could there be 50 jade flute divine sword? Zhuo Fan nodded and sighed. 50 jade flute divine sword was a dreaded sight. More to the point, it would be even more damn frightening if the kid escaped from them as well. Before he even had the chance to calm his thoughts, Violent Demon continued, the Imperial family was still going strong at the time, having around 20 experts like Jade Flute Divine Sword. And the other 30 were at least in the 5th layer of Radiant stage. 3 among them were even called immemorial sages by the world, stronger than even Jade Flute Divine Sword. Even Invincible Scamp had a hard time dealing with them. What? Zhuo Fan cried and looked at Li Jingtian. They too were incredulous the Imperial family ever held so much power. Easily guessing their thoughts, the 4 scheming demons started their creepy jeer, hi, how ignorant you are. You think Tianyu's Imperial family and the 7 houses of now only have this little power after 1,000 years? Just 3 centuries ago, the Imperial family had 50 divine dragons, the Regent estate 100 Radiant stage experts and the other houses in the tens. This is what kept the houses in a delicate balance. But in the war with Gu Santong, the 7 houses' united force of hundreds of Radiant stage experts were almost wiped out. Even the Imperial family's 50 divine dragons were destroyed, leaving but only the 3 immemorial sages alive. This battle waged for a whole year in a devastating fashion. 2 of the sages ultimately succumbed in this war of attrition, leaving behind the strongest immemorial sage to contend with the little monster. But at this time, both of them were nearing their limits, with the end looking to be drawn in mutual destruction. Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian were wide-eyed. Thank God Invincible Scamp wrecked Tianyu 300 years ago, or the Luo clan would have never got to rise above the 7 houses, not even in 100 years, not to mention 10. Zhuo Fan wiped his brow, cheering inside. By the way, how did their fight end? With the kid still alive, did the last sage die? If that is so, why then the kid hid himself for the past centuries? Nodding, Violent Demon smiled. Precisely. The last sage was very smart. He knew if both died, the Imperial family would be left stranded, and the 7 houses ultimately dividing Tianyu. So at the very end, he read the kid's nature and resorted to shamelessly dupe him into a 1,000-year agreement. He stated that if he stood his ground after receiving the kid's 10 punches, the kid would replace him in becoming the Imperial family's divine dragon and safeguarding the Imperial family for 1,000 years. If he died, then Gu Santong could do with Tianyu as he pleased, with no one stopping him. Hi, Steward Zhuo, don't you think this is the most ridiculous joke you've ever heard? If the sage died, with all other divine dragons laying dead as well, who on earth remained to stop the little monster? This was the most obvious trap if I ever saw one, but the kid was duped just as easily, or perhaps overconfident in his strength. Once the 10 punches were struck, the sage was peach perfect and Invincible Scamp had the rotten luck of being in the Imperial family's indentured servant ever since. Hi, what a moron. If it were me, I'd disregard the bet even after the punches, ha. I am tens of times wiser than that brat, a genius I tell ya. The other demons egged him on with thumbs up, and Violent Demon's laughter only grew more rampant. But Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian were shocked speechless. Never in their wildest dreams had they conceived that Gu Santong was the Imperial family's 3rd divine dragon. Chapter 232, A Stubborn Heart. Chapter 232, A Stubborn Heart. The 5 divine dragons of the Imperial family, the strongest in Tianyu. And yet, the highly placed members of the 7 houses had limited knowledge about them, limited to Jade Flute Divine Sword Fang Qiubai and Monochrome Chess Sage Sima Hui. The House Lords were the only ones entitled to the matters pertaining 3 centuries ago, that the Invincible Scamp Gu, the devil who pushed Tianyu on the brink of collapse, was now a divine dragon. But this resolution only brought more problems than solved. Zhuo Fan squinted at the 4 demons. Since the Imperial family is rearing this behemoth, what is it doing getting scared of the 7 houses? He, Steward Zhuo, you clearly know nothing. That last immemorial sage was the strongest in Tianyu, on the brink of breaking out of the radiant stage's shackles and reaching the void consciousness and becoming undying. A pity he met Gu Santong, that little monster. Regardless of how strong he was, he couldn't stand the kid's 10 punches. But even so, thanks to his consciousness on the brink of becoming void, he endured the kid's onslaught for a full hour before having his soul scattered. Gu Santong admired his dedication, who was willing to stake his soul in winning the bet. This was how the man protected Tianyu's imperial family and forced the kid to stick to his promise. But Gu Santong was no fool either. He resigned to only protecting the imperial family and nothing more. Thus, he was the imperial family's strongest shield, but not their spear, ignoring any orders. Even so, the imperial family still won. Would anyone dare disobey them, when they had him on their side? Of course, his existence was never accepted by the 7 houses. If he went berserk again, what would become of the 7 houses? So, they went to the emperor again and again for a resolution, or they would be leaving the empire. For lack of a better choice, the imperial family could only ask for the kid to make a vow as a divine dragon to not attack the 7 houses unless provoked. Also, the imperial family will have him under strict supervision. He is not to step 1 foot outside the imperial capital without the emperor's explicit approval. With how Tianyu lost its backbone in that war, if the 7 houses withdrew, the empire was open to foreign invasions. And the kid had no choice but to agree to this and protect the imperial family through the oath. The 7 houses begrudgingly compromised as well, and the imperial family changed his title into Invincible Scamp. As if to mean all that happened was just a kid throwing a tantrum. But now, the Invincible Scamp who's been locked away for 3 centuries by the imperial family was set free by the emperor. Violent Demon and the 3 demons wore their brows in a frown. Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian nodded and sighed. Gu Santong was indeed savage, but also honorable, far more than these little shits. Zhuo Fan squinted at the 4, and snickered, is that all? Pretty much. Now then, Steward Zhuo, you have the boundless honor of listening to the legends of the much greater, much more heroic 4 demons than even the likes of Invincible Scamp Gu Santong. Correct, those 4 are without a doubt yours truly, the demonic heroes, for scheming. Not interested. With a sneer and a sign, the 4 demons started wailing in torment as they tousled the ground. Among the screams of pain they voiced their doubts. Steward Zhuo, what did we do this time? Is this how you repay us? Nothing bad, in fact you did exemplary work. I'm only dishing out premeditated punishment, Zhuo Fan snickered and cackled. The 4's hearts were in grief as they shouted, Steward Zhuo, you're breaking your promise. You said you'll forget about everything if we told you about Gu Santong. TCH, Zhuo Fan mocked, we're all demon cultivators here, right? Since when can you believe anything we say? You're morons to have trusted me in the first place. Li Jingtian almost burst out laughing. It was the 4 little shits who duped Zhuo Fan in the first place, and now he was paying them back in spades. Steward Zhuo isn't one to take a loss, regardless how small. The 4 scheming demons were on the verge of tears. Zhuo Fan returned their mocking words right back at them, leaving them speechless. Being tricked made them feel anger, sorrow, pain, the works. My head hurts, my face hurts, my whole body hurts. They could only resort to begging now. But Zhuo Fan turned a deaf ear to their pleading, speaking to Li Jingtian with a smile, elderly, do you know what I'm thinking? He, Steward Zhuo wants Gu Santong. Li Jingtian's eyes lit up. Nodding, Zhuo Fan's eyes shined with exceptional greed, I've never wanted a subordinate as much as I want him. But if the imperial family finds out you've stolen their cornerstone from under their feet, Li Jingtian was worried. Grinning, Zhuo Fan mocked, with Gu Santong in the bag, what good will it do to them if they know? They couldn't handle his power 3 centuries ago, but can they now? Li Jingtian laughed. Zhuo Fan launched into the air, flying for Gu Santong's mountain, elderly, look after them. I'm going to probe the devil. I am going to confirm some suspicions of mine. Steward Zhua, don't worry. Leave this to me, ha ha ha. Cupping his hands, Li Jingtian turned to 4, their wailing music to his ears. Whoosh! Zhua Fan landed on the peak. He saw Gu Santong sitting on the edge of a cliff with his dainty feet dangling and enjoying the sunset. Seeing him approach, the kid's eyes lit up. Oh, you're back so fast. Did you already get an ingredient? Ha ha ha, yep. Zhua Fan nodded. Gu Santong was caught by surprise and cheered as he jumped to Zhua Fan. How are you so fast? Take it out and let me see. Zhua Fan's hand shined and revealed a purple leaf. Another 5th grade ingredient. Gu Santong was overjoyed, eager to dig in since the smell was intoxicating. Without preamble, he bit into it as he praised Zhua Fan. You're not bad at all. Far better than the others. Those 4 couldn't get one in 3 days, but you found one in an instant. Ha ha ha, you did well. I won't forget it. Oh, and how will you repay me? Zhua Fan smiled. Gu Santong hesitated, his eyes darting all over before holding out 2 fingers in all seriousness. I'll give you 2 more attempts. You just have to defeat me once and I'll let you all go. With the old guy using 1, you are left with 11. Ha ha ha, so this is your reward. Zhua Fan chuckled and shook his head as he cursed the brat in his head. This punk was corrupted by the strongest immemorial sage alright, giving fake rewards. Blast it, if I could beat you, what need do I have of you to let me go? We'd be leaving anyway. But since we can't, more attempts only means getting beaten by you even more. Are you taking us for fools? You'll get yours, oh don't you worry. In a jiffy, I will put your cheeky ass in place. I'll show you how it's really done. Zhua Fan snickered, then I'll be going to get more and more attempts. Go, go. Work hard now. Gu Santong waved him off, as if Zhua Fan was nothing to him but a precious ingredient dispenser. Zhua Fan left with a smile and returned 15 minutes later to Li Jingtian. The 4 scheming demons rushed to beg for mercy, but Zhua Fan didn't even spare them a glance. Elderly, the kid's only redeeming feature is his brawn. Easy to handle. What do you mean? Li Jingtian's asked eager. Zhua Fan showed 2 items. One was the bloodworm gourd, the other, a glowing ingredient more precious than a mere 5th grade. Zhua Fan took a bloodworm from the gourd and placed it on the ingredient. The worm then disappeared deep inside it. Li Jingtian still didn't understand, but Zhua Fan explained, in your fight with the kid, I noticed how he never used discerning field despite being in the radiant stage. So I tested him again with a 5th grade ingredient. Seeing him gobble it up like candy, we'll give him this bloodworm spiked ingredient and then. The 2 shared a look and sank into a choreographed evil snicker. In the middle of the 4's cries, Wimp Demon was about to say something but Violent Demon's glare cut him short. The other 2 demons along with Violent Demon snickered. But their mockery of the pair didn't sound much different from their wails, making it fall under Zhua Fan and Li Jingtian's radar. Whoosh! Zhua Fan went to Gu Santong again. Gu Santong was suspicious now. How are you so fast? Did you get another one? Yep. Zhua Fan nodded. Gu Santong was overjoyed. You're the very definition of an expert, not like those 4 snails. Give it here and I'll give you 10 attempts. Ha ha ha, much obliged. Smirking, Zhua Fan presented the ingredient and Gu Santong cried in joy. It's a 6th grade ingredient. You're incredible. Zhua Fan only smiled, but he mocked him inside. To make you take the bait and drop your guard, I'm even giving you a 6th grade ingredient. Curses, I didn't even get that many off of Drifting Flowers edifice. But it's fine. Using it in exchange for such a powerful expert is bloody worth it. His eyes shining, Zhua Fan licked his lips, staring closely at Gu Santong. As long as the brat ate it, then he would have the strongest in Tianyu at his fingertips. Even Zhuo Fan couldn't control his excitement as his heart hammered in his chest. But Gu Santong didn't eat it and frowned. There's something off about this ingredient. Bam! Zhuo Fan's heart hit rock bottom, watching on nervously. Did the brat find out? Chapter 233, Complete Loss. Chapter 233, Complete Loss. How can a genuine 6th grade ingredient have problems? Zhuo Fan scratched his nose as worry crept in his heart. Scrunching his nose, Gu Santong frowned and split the ingredient in two with his fingers. A red worm was seen wiggling further into the ingredient, but Gu Santong picked it up. What is this? Gu Santong set his eyes on Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan was shocked inside, but didn't show it. If the kid found out, he'd be pulverized with a flick alone. Zhuo Fan knew he couldn't admit it even in death. He had to play innocent. Strange, how did a worm get inside an ingredient? Yeah, ingredients are worldly treasure, so how could this grand 6th grade ingredient caught a worm? Gu Santong stared Zhuo Fan down, but could only shake his head in the end, having not detected any abnormalities. He killed the bug and ate the ingredient. Whatever, anything is possible in this world. But be more careful next time you go pick ingredients. Zhuo Fan nodded, and hightail it out of there with a soaked back. How did this kid, without a discerning field, find out about the bloodworm? Luckily the kid didn't doubt him or he'd be a goner. Recalling Li Jingtian's heavy wounds after a mere throw, Zhuo Fan swallowed dryly as he flew away. Yet Gu Santong still sat there on the cliff, chewing ingredients with a frown. How is it that an ingredient caught a worm? Whoosh! Zhuo Fan returned like lighting to Li Jingtian. The latter was eager to know the result. Steward Zhuo, how was it? Can't you tell from my face? Zhuo Fan spoke glumly. Li Jingtian knew Zhuo Fan was depressed. You mean the kid used the discerning field for the first time? As if. Zhuo Fan shook his head and sighed, his brow in a constant frown, and this is what worries me. Without using his soul to investigate, how the hell did he find the hidden worm? If I can't understand this, any future attempts will be pointless. Li Jingtian sank in thought as well. The 4 demons suddenly stopped yelling as they tried muffling their laughter. But the pain got too much and soon resumed their tenor symphony. Zhuo Fan couldn't care less, however. Steward Zhuo, should we try with eggs? Li Jingtian proposed. We may not know what trick he used, but not even discerning field can find the eggs. I refuse to believe he is any different. Zhuo Fan slapped his thigh. We'll do it like you said, elderly. But this time it will cost me heavily. Gnashing his teeth, Zhuo Fan's hand revealed a 3-foot-long red and white root. Li Jingtian shouted in shock, 7th grade ingredient, yin-yang moon fire root. Correct. This ingredient is hot on the outside but cold inside. This is one of the few ingredients with yin and yang in harmony. Because of its rarity, it is even valued higher than an 8th grade ingredient. Stammering, Zhuo Fan caressed the red-hot root yet ice-cold whiskers with a bleeding heart. I got it when I was in Drifting Flower's edifice and couldn't bear the thought of using it in the competition. Yet, I am now using it to house some worm eggs. When the kid takes it, it's the same as eating a spring pill, quickening the growth of the worm. Seeing him so reluctant, Li Jingtian patted his shoulder. Steward Zhuo, you know what they say, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Think about it. A 7th grade ingredient in exchange for the invincible scamp, no matter how you see it, it's totally worth it. I'm sure you can see it with your cunning mind. Zhuo Fan's gaze hardened and nodded. Yes, this is not just a mere exchange but a great deal. Zhuo Fan let a bloodworm into the ingredient, then soon after put it back in the gourd. Now the ingredient was filled with bloodworm eggs. Taking a deep breath, he looked at the ingredient with hope and smiled. Everything rests on you now. Good luck, Steward Zhuo. Li Jingtian cupped his hands. Zhuo Fan nodded and flew to Gu Santong. He was there in a flash. Startled, Gu Santong turned to Zhuo Fan, "You're damn quick, you know that. Those 4 fools have nothing on you. What did you find this time? Take it out." But he couldn't finish as the sight of the ingredient in Zhuo Fan's hands had him wide-eyed. 7th grade ingredient. You actually found a 7th grade ingredient? Just lucky, I guess. Zhuo Fan nodded. Gu Santong took it and drooled. He was moved to tears. A 7th grade ingredient, oh, I haven't had one in 3 centuries. Those bastards in yellow only know how to starve me with wretched 1st and 2nd grade ingredients. It took me 300 years to reach the 2nd layer of radiant stage. Gu Santong lamented his grief, while Zhuo Fan nodded inwardly. Now he knew who he was talking about. They were the imperial capital's guards. He found another big secret as well. His cultivation didn't rely on training, or maybe training did very little. Only eating ingredients increased his strength. Curses, if I take him in, I'll go broke before I get to raise him. On second thought, I might not need to feed him anyway since he is already invincible. Yeah, no problem. Then, it suddenly occurred to him. The imperial family definitely has high-grade ingredients. Yet, over the last centuries they've only been feeding him 1st and 2nd grade. Was it done on purpose to hold this monster's growth in check? So the more power he has, the harder it is for the imperial family to control him. Squinting, Zhuo Fan realized Gu Santong was unlike the rumors painted him as the strongest in the empire. At least the imperial family seemed to have a way to keep him in check. Otherwise there was no reason to stunt his cultivation for so many years. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath. As of yet, he was unsure if this conjecture was real or not, but he couldn't ignore it either or he'd be suffering at the hands of the imperial family sometime in the future. The imperial family still had uses for them and they were relying on the imperial family, but who was to say when all of this could just go belly up? In short, there are no everlasting friends. Anyone can become an enemy. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed coldly. Gu Santong suddenly frowned and cried out. He looked at the ingredient and shook his head. This one is also fishy. Why are all the ingredients you find so queer? His heart drumming in his chest, Zhuo Fan swallowed dryly. Ha ha ha, what could possibly be wrong? Gu Santong snapped the ingredient in 2 and pointed, see that? Zhuo Fan saw the core of the ingredient in shock. Gu Santong broke it right where the bloodworm laid its eggs. The middle of this 7th grade ingredient was white as the moon and released a deep chill. But in this whiteness, there were some grayish dots, bloodworm's eggs. The average man would definitely miss them even with scrutiny. Not even a radiant stage expert searching it with his soul could find them. Li Jingtian bore testament to that. Yet this little monster actually did it. Not only found them, but even accurately struck their exact spot. Even Zhuo Fan had to admire his prowess. This ain't the time to gawk. Wiping his brow, Zhuo Fan squinted and faked, what are you saying? I can't see anything. Gu Santong pointed his childlike finger, see these dots, they don't match the ingredient. They are in fact closely resembling the worm in the last ingredient. They must be its eggs. Zhuo Fan's heart sank and his legs almost gave. He looks like a clueless brat, but his eyesight is spot on. He can even see similarities between the eggs and the bloodworm. Zhuo Fan was gripped with fear. If the kid blames me for the worm and the eggs, a single hit from him will reduce me to pulp. But that didn't happen as Gu Santong waved the eggs off the ingredient and started chewing it. He chewed as he smiled, I can't blame you for this, just like the ingredient with the worm in it. How can I throw away a 7th grade ingredient? I don't mind taking it, ha ha ha. Gu Santong laughed brightly, and Zhuo Fan felt his heart bleed. Not only I lost a fortune but I couldn't get the kid either. I lost everything. But as he was mourning the loss, Gu Santong's words drifted over, hey, you're really good at finding ingredients. So why don't I shorten the time? 1 ingredient every 2 hours, a 7th grade 1. Stumbling, Zhuo Fan was close to spurting blood. He had no one to blame but himself. Giving the kid so many ingredients ended up with him admitting defeat. And instead of getting him wrapped around Zhou Fan's fingers, the kid asked a 7th grade ingredient per 2 hours. He's killing me. Not even he had so many on hand. Chapter 234, Godlike Nose. Chapter 234, Godlike Nose. In a place filled with rubble, Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian sat glumly on a big stone. Four were howling in the background, completing the picture with the odd twist and turn as pain stabbed through them. Zhuo Fan sighed at the sky and stood, I need to go give the imp another ingredient. If this keeps up, I'll lose everything. Steward Zhuo, can't we just flee? Why must we suffer at his hands? Li Jingtian frowned. Zhuo Fan shook his head, flee? I am not giving up. I already lost 6 7th grade ingredients, but still can't find that brat's weakness. If I leave now, all of that will go to waste. Humph, I've never once suffered so much in a deal. Li Jingtian understood him. Now was time to go all out against this invincible scamp Gu Santong. Zhuo Fan refused to believe he couldn't subdue him, not after wasting so many ingredients on the prick. So Li Jingtian only shook his head, unable to figure out what Gu Santong's trick is to leave even the cunning Zhuo Fan out of options. But just then, creepy laughter resounded. Zhuo Fan looked back in reflex to see the 4 demons wrecked with pain yet slipping a sneer among the tortured faces. It was an odd sound for sure, the combination of groans and jeers coming out of those twisted faces didn't seem natural. You couldn't tell if it was crying or laughing. But their eyes spoke enough for Zhuo Fan to pick on their naked mockery. What are you laughing at? Zhuo Fan snapped, you know, don't you? The creepy laughter grounded to a halt, and the 4 turned around and wailed in pain once again. Zhuo Fan tightened his fists. This was silent protest. Zhuo Fan could bet his ingredients that the 4 knew something. Speak, and your mistakes shall be crossed out. Or I can promise you will go through such pain you can't even begin to imagine. Zhuo Fan squinted and spoke with bloodthirst. Wimp Demon shuddered, but Violent Demon's glare stopped him from saying anything. Damn 4th bro, did you forget how he played us? If you say one word, I will, ah. Violent Demon couldn't finish as Zhuo Fan's hand sign ramped up the pain. He could only flop around from agony. The other demons were startled and Wimp Demon was downright shaking. Steward Zhuo, Gu Santong's nose is very sharp. It doesn't matter what you do to the ingredient, he'll always find out. Nose? His eyes widening, Zhuo Fan turned to Li Jingtian. Then his sign changed and Wimp Demon's pain up and vanished. Wimp Demon moved around in joy. Zhuo Fan spoke, Wimp Demon, tell me all you know. Wimp Demon held Zhuo Fan in fear and nodded, Gu Santong isn't only outrageously powerful, his nose is more so, godlike even. The last time we gave him an ingredient, we laced it with poison, but he sniffed it out instantly and beat us to a pulp. Then we thought of fleeing, but he could easily sniff us out in 1,000 miles, giving us another beating. Then, there is no then. We searched seriously knowing we can't escape his evil clutches and looked for ingredients for him. Zhuo Fan's eyes twitched, but he believed him. He was amazing enough to sniff out the poison out of an ingredient. But to track them down in 1,000-mile radius, that was godlike. Even Radiant Stage's discerning field paled in comparison. Now the pair knew why Gu Santong let them go about searching for ingredients without minding them. No matter where they went, he'd find them. He can smell the bloodworm and its eggs. Is that it? Zhuo Fan was incredulous, such an insanely sharp nose. Is he perhaps looking down on discerning field? Li Jingtian's face was grave as well. Steward Zhuo, does that mean escaping is impossible? I urge you not to flee, or you'll only suffer instead. Wimp Demon warned. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and nodded. Gu Santong was even more amazing than he thought. Now not only striking back at him was impossible, even fleeing was out. Zhuo Fan was glum. But he showed a smile to Wimp Demon, patting him. Wimp Demon, you're a nice guy. Far better than those idiots. You've been tousled by the bloodworm enough, go take a rest. What? Wimp Demon whooped in joy while the other 3 demons cried in dissent, no way. Didn't you say demonic cultivators don't stick to their word? Grinning, Zhuo Fan mocked, it's no promise, but a reward. Then he ignored the 3. The only thing on their mind was regret. How could I be so stupid to miss this chance? Wimp Demon puffed his chest, strutting among the 3 demons crying out in agony. The 3 demons glared at him with envy and hatred. Li Jingtian was speechless, and held Zhuo Fan's methods in even more admiration. These 4 little shits were immune to soft and hard methods, even their thinking was screwed up. The only way to get them in line was with the carrot and the stick. Li Jingtian sighed, Steward Zhuo, these 4 little shits had dragged us into a swamp that's hard to get out of. But I don't think it's such a miserable encounter. At least we now know Gu Santong's ace. Zhuo Fan grinned, his eyes flashing as he watched the peak Gu Santong stayed on. In this world, what we fear the most is the unknown. Now that we know what his trick is, we just gotta think hard of how to counter it. No one is invincible, even monsters. Li Jingtian's heart shuddered and looked at Zhuo Fan with hope. That's how a true man of ambition is. He can remain calm even in the face of Tianyu's strongest. A pity such a talent is not a clan head. Rumble. With a sudden loud noise, the sky dimmed. Zhuo Fan sighed, it's about to rain. I'll hand the ingredient over to the kid, then think of a way to deal with his skill. I must have him under me. If Steward Zhuo said it, then it's as good as done. Li Jingtian caressed his beard. He now had blind faith in Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan shook his head and set off. From the peak came Gu Santong's angry voice, damn heaven, what lightning. Tone down the noise. Zhuo Fan was startled, then frowned in thought. He heard a howl as a visible sound wave came from the peak and shot at the sky. In a blink, the thunderclouds scattered and the sky brightened. There was no cloud seen for thousands of miles. Li Jingtian was shocked, Gu Santong is amazing. With a mere shout, he unleashed an even stronger ripple than I do with Necro Dragon's screech. Zhuo Fan scowled, his eyes spacing out in thought. The kid had always been calm around us, not showing even a bit of anger. He, guess we weren't worthy to make him angry. Li Jingtian grinned. But, why was he raging at the thunderclouds? Li Jingtian shook his head, maybe he hates lightning? Or is it fear? Zhuo Fan squinted. Li Jingtian shuddered, Steward Zhuo, you mean? Perhaps his weakness is lightning. Zhuo Fan made a hand sign and the demons' torture stopped, letting them catch their breath. Zhuo Fan said, get ready, we're going to Thunder Swarm Mountain. But we're still in the kid's palm. Whatever for are we going to that damnable place? Violent Demon shouted. Zhuo Fan glared and his finger moved, my word is law, so cut the crap. Or else. Fine, we'll listen to Steward Zhuo. We won't complain again. Violent Demon lifted his hands in defeat. Zhuo Fan nodded. He flew to Gu Santong and was soon back again, let's go. What if Gu Santong comes after us? Violent Demon hesitated. I told the kid we'll be going a bit further for his ingredients and that there's an 8th grade ingredient there but we'll be needing 3 days. He instantly agreed. By the time he figures out he'd been had, our trap will be ready. Zhuo Fan snickered evilly. For scheming demons asked in unison, trap. We will lure Tianyu's strongest, invincible scamp Gu Santong into a trap. Zhuo Fan grinned, his eyes burning with resolve. Chapter 235, The Thunder Array Trap. Chapter 235, The Thunder Array Trap. Rumble. On top of a tall mountain, from south to north, from west to east, 4 cliffs stood. These cliffs were eternally shrouded by dark clouds with rumbling thunders striking them at any given moment. But the way these bucket-sized lightning bolts slammed into the 4 cliffs was akin to lightning dragons. They struck them and then returned back to the clouds to begin the cycle anew. From afar, it looked like a nest of lightning dragons roaming around the cliffs. Is this Thunder Swarm Mountain? Zhuo Fan asked as he watched the spectacle. The 4 scheming demons nodded with a pained face, having vividly recalled the torment they had to endure inside. Violent Demon found it difficult to even speak. We've been stuck in there for 60-odd years, having lightning pass through us every second of every day. If it weren't for that dumbass leaving a hole behind, we might still be in there. Those were the worst years ever, wah. Violent Demon cried as he pointed at the cliffs. The other demons were also tearing up. Li Jingtian's face twitched. He used to feel sad and bitter as well, but when the 4 described it, he felt disgusted instead. Didn't someone just save you? Why aren't you seeing him in a good light? Do such people even exist, that would even call their rescuer a dumbass? Zhuo Fan stood unflinching in the face of those crocodile tears. His eyes ever shined as he gazed at the cliffs. He isn't a dumbass at all. In fact, he didn't poke a hole in the barrier out of carelessness. He let them go on purpose. Li Jingtian cried. Zhuo Fan nodded. This barrier may be fitting this place, raised on top of this natural array, but it is very intricately and painstakingly placed to leave almost no loopholes. That cliff, for example, is one such hole. Only an erudite could see it. What, on purpose? Then how come we didn't see anyone when we got out? The 4 stopped crying on the spot and looked at each other baffled. They looked inwardly for an answer, but there didn't seem to be anyone on friendly terms with them besides those in the sect. Who could be so kind as to let them out? Scratching his nose, Zhuo Fan smiled. He must have done it for his own reasons. But he never would have imagined he helped me instead. Ha ha ha. Don't dwell on it. What's crucial is that we set up an array and bait Gu Santong inside. This 6th grade array is slightly damaged. Once I fix it, its power will double. Zhuo Fan pointed at the cliff. Li Jingtian nodded and frowned. Steward Zhuo, are you sure the kid will enter? What if he sees the array and waits for us outside instead? We won't be able to hold on then. No worries. Others will hesitate while he will jump straight in. Because he is the invincible scamp, undefeated throughout his life. He never suffered defeat, which makes him cocky. And cockiness leads to neglect. I believe there's not a best radiant stage sucker out there as this Gu Santong. Zhuo Fan cackled with confidence. Li Jingtian gave a thumbs up. Steward Zhuo sees through everyone. My admiration for you knows no bounds. Enough sucking up to me. I am certain he'll go in, but I can't gauge his power, making success uncertain. But with this natural 6th grade array and with us controlling it, success will be ours. Otherwise, Zhuo Fan frowned and sighed. 4 scheming demons jumped over and shouted, what do you need us to do? Your job is to go in the array and distract Gu Santong. No way. We have had enough of this array. Even in the demon scheming sect, everyone was against us controlling arrays. That's blatant discrimination. The 4 demons demanded fairness. Zhuo Fan's face darkened. You damn idiots. Of course no one will let you. They were afraid you'd go messing it all up and you'll go farther than mere discrimination against them. His face was solemn. I'm also discriminating against you. But don't you dare friggin' meddle with the array as I work on it. And you'd better listen to every one of my orders when Gu Santong gets inside and give your all while doing it. Or else. Zhuo Fan's finger moved, sending the 4 demons shivering into bobbing their heads. Then, They instantly switched to an aggrieved expression and kicked the stones at their feet in dissent. Why is everyone hell-bent against us? We are 4 demonic heroes, what's not to like? Li Jingtian laughed wryly at the 4's lonely figures. Zhuo Fan didn't know if he should laugh or cry at these buffoons' antics. 3 days came and went, soon revealing Gu Santong landing at the foot of Thunder Swarm Mountain. But the mountain was different than before, its black clouds gone. It was a particularly sunny afternoon, with birds singing on this barren Thunder Swarm Mountain. Only the occasional flickers on the rocks bore testament this place was once flooded with lightning. But Gu Santong saw none of that. He only sniffed and shouted, "You bastards have taken advantage of my trust and good nature. Get the hell out right now. I don't have much time to waste here. If you don't go out to get me ingredients, I'll be bitter all my life. Who knows when I will get to eat so many good ingredients? Listen up. I know you're on that mountain. Get out right now. I am pressed for time, so I will forego your transgression. Don't make me come after you, or you'll be sorry." Gu Santong's childish voice reverberated for miles. But no reply came from the mountain. Gu Santong was pissed. "Fine, have it your way. It's on you. See how I'll put you in your place once I get my hands on you." With a loud sound, Gu Santong charged straight into Thunder Swarm Mountain center. But just as he arrived in between the 4 cliffs and wiggled his nose in search of their location, a fierce gale blew. Black clouds started rolling in swiftly, submerging the cliffs in darkness. Then, peals of lightning flashed within the dark clouds, surrounding Gu Santong in the middle. Gu Santong's eyes widened and cried, "An array." Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian hid in the tallest and shortest cliff's caves, controlling the array. They snorted at Gu Santong's shock again and again. "He, invincible scamp, your day has come." Rumble. A thunderous sound came from above and a lightning dragon spiraled around the 4 cliffs, setting up the barrier to seal in even a radiant stage expert. Gu Santong shuddered and frowned. He covered his ears and cursed, "You bastards, is it not enough you set up an array, but did it have to be a thunder one?" Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian cracked up. Ha, only thunder can keep you little freak in check, who is scared of it? Elderly, this is just the start. But be careful, the lightning may have a heavy impact on him, but I don't want to kill him. I want him alive. Zhuo Fan transmitted words to Li Jingtian. Li Jingtian nodded and laughed, "I got it, Steward Zhuo. We can't have those ingredients go to waste. I know what to do." The 2 changed hand signs as they laughed. Rumble. With another loud sound, hundreds of lightning fell from the sky straight for Gu Santong. Boom. With a cacophony of explosions, Gu Santong's frail figure slammed into the ground, kicking up dust. Zhuo Fan stopped, worried for his safety as he shouted, "Wait, why isn't he resisting? You're telling me lightning is fatal for him? That's bad. I don't want him dead." "Steward Zhuo, should I go take a look?" Li Jingtian suggested. Zhuo Fan hesitated. When the dust cleared, the 2 saw something incredulous. A huge hole in which Gu Santong was slammed. But the child in question was unscathed, covering his ears and raining curses. His face was filled with loathing, but otherwise, not a scratch on him. No way. Lightning should be his weakness. Zhuo Fan was incredulous and shouted, "Abominable 4 scheming demons, keep him busy and show me how he handles the lightning. Elderly, raise the power." Understood. The 4 shouted and the demons gave a creepy snicker as they shot for Gu Santong in a series of afterimages. Li Jingtian and Zhuo Fan were shifting through the hand signs. Hi. Hearing their jeer, Gu Santong sniffed and looked at the afterimages with loathing. "I knew you were messing around here. I could smell you a mile away. Shut down the array. I hate lightning the most." He, lightning is the little monster's bane. We won't stop it, so what are you gonna do about it? Violent Demon laughed, his afterimage shifting to Gu Santong to land a punch. But Gu Santong still held his ears and stood unmoving, despite his mouth spitting out endless curses. Then Violent Demon's face sank as he held his hand and cussed, "God damn it. The kid's hard as a rock. My hand almost got ruined." Rumble. Just then, thousands of lightning struck Gu Santong. Chapter 236, Invincible Fist. Chapter 236, Invincible Fist. Boom. Lightning struck Gu Santong constantly, smashing him into another hole. Even a peak radiant stage expert would have a hard time facing such a hit. Yet, Zhuo Fan was still unclear if all of this was enough for the likes of Gu Santong. He was invincible scamp, the strongest in Tianyu. His eyes fixed on the settling dust, Zhuo Fan's heartbeat quickened. When the dust cleared, his eyes widened and gasped. Gu Santong was still covering his ears and standing there, unharmed. But his face took a darker shade, out of anger. For scheming demons, how did he take on the lightning? You should have seen it clearly from your angle. Zhuo Fan roared through the transmission. For scheming demons turned into gray afterimages around Gu Santong as they reported in fear, Steward Zhua, this kid didn't stop one lightning. Each bolt was a direct hit, but he is still standing there like nothing happened. What? For scheming demons report froze Zhuo Fan, you mean to tell me lightning doesn't do a damn thing to this kid? Was my assumption wrong? Steward Zhua, what now? He is just standing here in the array, but we can't do anything to him. Something bad is bound to happen if this goes on. And once he gets out, he'll want to settle the score. We'll be finished. Squinting, Zhuo Fan said, "Elderly, the lightning isn't his weakness, but he always shouts profanities at it. I was wrong, he just hates lightning. But this 6th grade array is built on a natural formation. Let's use all we have on him. No matter how ridiculously powerful he is, it'll be worth it if we can wear him out even a little." All right. Li Jingtian agreed. Zhuo Fan sighed. Despite saying that, he had a feeling they'd fail from the moment he set up the array. As this was all based on the premise his guess was right, that Gu Santong was weak to lightning. He was now holding the fates of everyone in his hands. He knew there was only a 50% chance of success. But he wanted to get Gu Santong so badly that he was willing to gamble on that measly 50%, using even the lives of others. But even in this case he had a failsafe. Just escaping was also 50-50. If Gu Santong bore through it as well, they were dead. This was indeed a very risky move from his part, totally opposite for his usual style. "Steward Zhua, I'm ready. How are you?" Li Jingtian sent over. Zhuo Fan sighed, and his hands moved, I as well. Begin. The two's signs synced. Thunder rolled and lightning flickered. From the deep and rumbling dark clouds, tens of thousands of lightning bolts barreled down. That immense power caused even Thunder's Swarm Mountain to shake. It meant that even the 6th grade array was having a hard time withstanding such might. The 4 scheming demons were slack-jawed, crying out in fear as they retreated. They no longer dared staying close to Gu Santong. The lightning this time may very well smash them to bits. Gu Santong, with his ears covered, looked at the thunder with pure loathing and anger. "Gu Santong, if you still stand after this, then you must be my karma coming back to bite me." Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth and his hand sign changed. Boom! Hundreds of thousands of lightning bolts rained down. They twisted around each other and formed a lightning dragon that coiled around each cliff as it roared. Such destructive power seemed to wish for the annihilation of the whole world. Zhuo Fan was certain that the lightning dragon would turn this Thunder Swarm Mountain and everything in 100 miles barren. Only the array controllers would survive. He never hoped it would come to this. But he was the demonic emperor, rising on top of a mountain of bones. If he wanted Invincible Scamp's power, mercy for some miscellaneous creatures had no place here. Roar! The entire sky was roaring as it came crashing down. Gu Santong felt the sheer brutality aiming at him, forced to squint at the eye-piercing light. His ears rang from the sudden explosions, and only now, finally, his hands released them, forming a small fist. Then, a punch soared straight for the lightning dragon's head, releasing an odd ripple. Gu Santong didn't even put the lightning dragon in his eyes. His face was calm, yet the ripple he released flew like a meteor, pushing back at the lightning dragon. Every place the ripple touched, lightning crumbled. People would be shocked to see how it began with the lightning dragon's head, turning it into specks of light. The ripple then shot past the lightning dragon and exploded way up high. The rumbling and black thunderclouds were sporting a mile-wide hole in their center, allowing for the sun's warm glow to pass through. Groaning, Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian spat blood, thoroughly stupefied. Gu Santong struck the picture of a god of war, in the middle of the sun shining down on him from the wide hole in the sky. The two of them were lost for words. Invincible Scamp is crazy strong. No wonder he could face the entire empire and still win. Zhuo Fan sighed, it's my loss this time. Elderly, patch up the thunderclouds, it's time to bolt. Invincible Scamp is out of my league. Or maybe, we'll just get him on a better occasion. This was the first time Li Jingtian saw Zhuo give up. But the image of Gu Santong easily withstanding a 6th grade array left him shuddering. Only an extraordinary man could control such a freak. Zhuo Fan and Huangpu Qingtian are also freaks, but they have a long way to go to be monsters. Li Jingtian smiled dejectedly and copied Zhuo Fan's sign in patching the hole in the sky. They then sent the order for retreat to the 4 demons. They no longer used the array to seize Invincible Scamp, but to buy time. They would never get out of this alive otherwise. This may very well be the first time he and Zhuo Fan felt so utterly powerless. Especially Zhuo Fan, with his cunning mind and foolproof plans. They all were rendered powerless in the face of that kid. Absolute power indeed trumped over any ploy. But seeing the looming black clouds gathering, Gu Santong roared, "You 6 bastards, I told you already that I hate lightning. Yet, you dare continue?" With a snort, Gu Santong stomped. With 2 steps, thunder swarm mountains 4 cliffs shook ceaselessly. Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian wobbled, shaken to their core. But the next thing had them swept by panic. Gu Santong tightened his fists at the side, as if focusing his power. Then he struck. Hum. Another ripple spread everywhere, making everything it touched quake. With Gu Santong at the center, all around him crumbled to dust. The ripple looked slow when in fact had incredible speed, leaving nothing but dust in its wake. Zhuo Fan cried out, "The kid's power is insane. He can shake space itself with a punch alone. Run, the 6th grade array can't do anything to him. We can't deal with him. Go underground, there's no escaping it." Li Jingtian paled from shock. He knew Gu Santong was godlike, but now it was no longer an exaggerating description. The kid shook off the 6th grade array as if it was a breeze, an array that held radiant stage experts for tens of years prisoners. How is he even human? They didn't get to make 2 steps as the ripple passed by them and into the horizon. Boom! Anything in 100 miles was pulverized. Once the dust settled, the sight was overwhelming and impossible to fathom. As far as the eye could see, in any given direction, down to the last blade of grass, all was just gone. Gu Santong leveled a 100-mile-wide circle in a blink. As to Thunder Swarm Mountain and the black clouds, it looked as if they never even existed in the first place. Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian crawled from underground, shivering at this sight. The 4 demons came out as well and stood agape, scared to the core. Wimp Demon was holding his head as it shook like a leaf. He wanted to bury his head, anything, so long as it rid that little monster's image out of his head. Gu Santong was an abomination. If not for Steward Zhua's timely advice, they'd be nothing but dust by now. Violent Demon lamented inside. Invincible Scamp is a real freak. We can't mess with him ever again, no matter how Steward Zhua tortures us. We must never agree to such a reckless plan ever again. The four vowed to themselves. Though clueless they all were to the fact Gu Santong was standing right behind them with a cold face. Bloodthirst flashed in his eyes as he looked at their dusty backs. Chapter 237, Sophistry. Chapter 237, Sophistry. I got you now, you bastards. A chilling voice crept from behind the four. Their body froze and looked back in reflex to see Gu Santong's furious gaze. Scared out of their wits, the four shivered as they lowered their heads, not daring to look him in the eye. Gu Santong scratched his nose, sweeping the four with a cold eye and snorting, "Who was it that threw the punch on me? Step forward." He did it. The four didn't even lift their heads as three demons pointed straight at Violent Demon. Violent Demon felt like kicking these bunch of ignoble bastards' arse, but he was weak as a kitten before Gu Santong's stern gaze. He then showed a miserable and crying smile. "It's not my fault, I never would have done it if I wasn't compelled." "Oh, who forced you then?" Furrowing his brow, Gu Santong fists tightened. Swallowing dryly, Violent Demon squeaked, "It's Creak." Violent Demon shuddered in that instant and his jaw froze open, but could not utter a sound. As if something was shoved down his throat. Then, a cheerful cry entered their ears, "Gu Santong, you're finally here. Thank the heavens, I thought we'd never see you again." Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian staggered their wretched bodies over. While Li Jingtian's face was tense from anxiety, by contrast, Zhuo Fan's was that of joy, as if guileless. He even went as far as give Gu Santong an old-fashioned cozy hug. The four demons now knew why Violent Demon was choking on his own voice. Zhuo Fan's bloodworm was doing its thing. These two had the life of the four demons in their hands. And offending any side now was certain death no matter how they sliced it. So the three demons buried their heads in the dirt to avoid looking at anyone. Violent Demon's face twitched and shivered. He was fearing for his life. Thinking Zhuo Fan would take his life to protect his own. Getting out of Zhuo Fan's hug, Gu Santong stared at him with resentment. Zhuo Fan was startled and faked innocence. "What's wrong? Why did you run? Why did you set up a lightning array here?" Gu Santong snapped at him. Li Jingtian swallowed dryly, his whole body frozen, while the four demons shivered. Only Zhuo had a downright shocked expression. "What are you talking about? Who set an array? You didn't set the lightning array. As if. You think we'd still be trapped with you if we could?" Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. Gu Santong was speechless, the four demons startled, all while confusion predominated to all present. "You're saying you've been trapped in there as well?" Gu Santong spoke, his tone still carried anger, albeit subdued. Sighing, Zhuo Fan shook his head. "Of course, or we'd have long returned with the ingredient." "What, you've been trapped here just to get an ingredient?" Gu Santong cried, now his anger deflated. Zhuo Fan nodded, running his mouth. "Gu Santong, do you know why there's a 6th grade lightning array here?" Gu Santong shook his head, a telltale sign he bought into Zhuo Fan's lie completely. "Because there's a precious 8th grade ingredient here. Someone used the array to protect it." Zhuo Fan spoke, "To help you get that ingredient, we had to go into the lion's den, and barely got out alive. But thankfully you got here just in time." "But why do you say we ran away? Didn't I tell you we'll be going on an ingredient hunt?" That's..." Gu Santong blushed, fiddling with his hands, like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Somewhat aggrieved and somewhat guilty. They were braving danger for his sake, yet he was here casting blame on them, for shame. Zhuo Fan sighed, giving Li Jingtian a look. and the two showed a carefree smile. Gu Santong sure was an abomination, but pure as a child, and more importantly, easy to fool. The four scheming demons were struck dumb. They had feared the kid for his power. But even after 3 centuries, he was still but a child, easy to dupe. Why didn't they think of that? But Gu Santong's shyness only lasted a second as he pointed at Violent Demon with a frown. Why then were they moving around the array so freely, even giving me a punch? You were clearly against me. Shuddering, they all felt shock and fear, with the 4 demons lowering their heads. Li Jingtian's brow was soaked, his lips dry, and looked anxiously at Zhuo Fan for help. He may be a child at heart and mind, but everyone knows the chaos he caused Tianyu 300 years ago. It's not that easy to dupe him after all. This was Zhuo Fan's plan all along. If they couldn't hold him with the array, then they'll throw in a play. They'd fake being victims as well, braving the danger of death for the kid's sake. This worked to explain why they were in the array, and also scored sympathy points with the kid. Without any real evidence, even if the kid was dubious, he couldn't just trash them when they were giving their all in finding him ingredients. So, Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian never once showed themselves as the array worked, just so they could enact this play, and give themselves a way out. Who'd have thought, however, that the 4 scheming demons Zhuo Fan asked to keep the kid busy went as far as punching him. Now this was throwing a wrench in his act. Steward Zhuo, how about we throw these little shits to the wolves? Li Jingtian spoke with his eyes. Zhuo Fan squinted, as the 4 demons looked nervously at him. They could feel it in their bones how his next words had the power to save them and condemn them. If Zhuo Fan made them scapegoats, they'd have no chance at all, except at a swift death. At this very moment, no one moved. Gu Santong stared at Zhuo, waiting for his answer. Li Jingtian was also looking at him, waiting for his decision. For scheming demons were begging him with their faces, their miserable and pitiful faces. Everyone's lives rested on him. Ah! Zhuo Fan finally opened his mouth, and instead of answering, he gave Gu Santong a question. Do you know arrays? Nope. Gu Santong was blunt. I guessed as much. That's great. Gu Santong glared at him and Zhuo Fan rushed to say, ha ha ha, don't misunderstand. I only want to explain to you clearly so as to not weigh your conscience with innocent killings. Zhuo Fan rubbed his chin as he began. Arrays are graded from 1 to 12 according to their power. As for their type, they are trapping, killing, and bewildering arrays. That thunder array was of the killing type. But it also had a trapping array hidden. Did you notice? Gu Santong nodded. He knew the second he got in the array he'd have to smash his way through if he wanted out. But did you notice the bewildering array as well? Zhuo Fan gave a vague smile. Gu Santong shook his head. You're saying a bewildering caught me? But then he snorted, no way. I didn't feel any illusions around me. What I see may be fake, but my nose has never let me down. That guy hit me and I caught him red-handed. Being pointed at, Violent Demon shivered in fear. In that moment, he was more of a wimp than Wimp Demon. Everyone looked at him with derision. This is the first goddamn time I'm hiding behind fourth bro. But in the face of all this, Zhuo Fan waved it off. I didn't say you were caught in an illusion, but he was. Let me ask you this. Did you 4 really attack Gu Santong? Shuddering, the 4 reacted to Steward Zhuo's meaning. He was giving them a way out. So they shook their heads and bowed. We thought you were someone else. Please forgive us. Is that so? Then who was that little monster you kept raving on about? Gu Santong stared them down. The 4 pointed at Zhuo Fan on the spot, him. Zhuo Fan's face twitched and his anger boiled. Wasn't that saying they wanted to kill him? But this was not the time to bicker with these 4 morons. Gu Santong looked dubious at him. You're also a monster. Before meeting you, they indeed called me that. With an awkward chuckle, Zhuo Fan's fists crunched and lightning wings unfolded behind him. Can anyone do this? Gu Santong's eyes twitched. I see. I always thought you used a flying demonic treasure when in fact it is tied to your body. You're indeed monstrous enough. That ended that. Gu Santong was still dubious, but could find no plausible excuse to beat the crap out of them. Everyone else gave Zhuo Fan a big round of thumbs up, in admiration for his sophistry, and putting an end to this deadly situation. Zhuo Fan sighed and rejoiced inside. Thank God we met Gu Santong. If it was anyone else, this blatant lie wouldn't fly and would have got us all killed instead. All because they harbored doubts. Anyone would rather kill 1,000 innocents than miss the culprit. This was where Gu Santong was different. Zhuo Fan knew he guarded the imperial family for 300 years all for the sake of a promise. But only after being his prisoner did he fully understand that to this kid, words were gold, and he needed a good reason when handling anyone. When he slaughtered half the empire's cities, that was because others pushed him. He didn't start it. So Zhuo Fan made a heroic, reckless and gutsy gamble. But even this had only a 50-50 chance. If Gu Santong was still stubborn, they could only resign to their fate and the kid's temper. Thankfully, the kid was quite moral, not swinging around his weight without proper reason. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan smiled. But then Gu Santong suddenly said, "Hold on, since you all did this for an ingredient, where is it?" They all froze up again. An 8th grade ingredient was a heavenly treasure. How were they supposed to just find it? Gu Santong's glare once again descended. Chapter 238, Lightning Canyon appears. Chapter 238, Lightning Canyon appears. If there's no 8th grade ingredient, then all of this is a lie cooked up by all of you. Gu Santong eyed each one with suspicion. Violent Demon was frantic. You fist-leveled everything in 100 miles. That ingredient is dust by now. Bullshit. Gu Santong cursed. An 8th grade ingredient is a worldly treasure, possessing spirituality. If you could think of burrowing underground at a crucial moment, then so could it. Then it must have fled. Wimp Demon whimpered. Gu Santong snorted, more bullshit. My nose can pick up its scent even 1,000 meters below. How the hell can it escape my notice? Then, it was Sly Demon's turn to take the stands and patch the growing hole in the lie. But he stuttered so greatly, none of his words made sense, despite how much his eyes showed he wanted to. Gu Santong snorted, eyeing them with thick bloodthirst. Humph, without the 8th grade ingredient all you've said so far was a big fat lie. You are the ones who set up the lightning array. They were all nervous now and chilled to the bone. Hold on. Zhuo Fan shouted with a pained face, the 8th grade ingredient is indeed real. It truly wanted to flee, but I managed to grab it just as the lightning array crumbled. You didn't pick up its scent because I placed it in my ring. Zhuo Fan's hand revealed a glowing ingredient. The sweet smell it released worked to soothe everyone's weary minds. Gu Santong was dumbstruck. The 8th grade ingredient was real. Even if he didn't believe Zhuo Fan, he now had no choice but to. The proof was incontestable. The 6th reason for rushing into the array held strong. What they did in the array, only they knew, and no matter how they explained it, Gu Santong would never find the truth. But now, he no longer cared. With an 8th grade ingredient in hand, what's the big problem being trapped in an array by them? This compensation was enough if he even had to go through a second array. Licking his dry lips, Gu Santong scratched his head in embarrassment. Ops, I've been wrong about you, guys. You really gave it all for my sake. Then, is this 8th grade ingredient mine? Zhuo Fan was silent, having to go through great difficulty to squeeze a nod. Gu Santong then took it and threw the ingredient into his mouth and started chomping. In fact, even if you did set the array up, it's all water under the bridge. If every array has an 8th grade ingredient, I'd jump in head first, ha ha ha. Rest easy, our efforts weren't for nothing. Zhuo Fan smiled, but was crying inside. His heart bled with every chomp. He got that 8th grade ingredient from Drifting Flowers Edifice's 100-pill meeting, and only the one. He was keeping it for a special occasion, alright? Who'd have thought it'd be wasted on Gu Santong to calm his anger? But it was either that or his life. This was Zhuo Fan's first time losing out to such an extent. While Gu Santong was gorging himself with the ingredient, Li Jingtian slipped next to him and patted him. It's only a worldly possession, Steward Zhua. Only by being alive will you get to have more of them. Yeah, I never knew Steward Zhua had an 8th grade ingredient. What's more, Steward Zhua loves us so much, he gave it up. We are touched. The 4 scheming demons sniffed. Zhuo Fan glared instead. Shut it, I've made an investment in you and I expect you to pay me back 10-fold at the least. We'll first placate the devil, then we'll think of something later. Yes. They all nodded obediently. Especially the 4 demons, who looked at him with just a hint of respect. Unlike before when there was only fear. Rumble. A sudden thunderous noise traveled for thousands of miles. Zhuo Fan frowned and looked around. Isn't Thunder Swarm Mountain flattened? Where is that noise coming from? Maybe it's a real thunderstorm. Li Jingtian scratched his beard. But Zhuo Fan shook his head, unlikely. The kid's 2 fists silenced everything in 100 miles, even removing clouds. So where's this lightning coming from without any clouds around? Li Jingtian found Zhuo Fan's explanation to be reasonable. Steward Zhua, look, something's off with the kid. Did you poison the 8th grade ingredient? Sly Demon shouted and pointed at Gu Santong. Zhuo Fan saw Gu Santong covering his ears and crouching his shivering body. Even his most delicious treat, the 8th grade ingredient, laid half-eaten on the ground. Violent Demon cried in joy, Steward Zhua, you're amazing, of ultimate cunningness to have dealt with the kid. Tell us, how did you poison him? Our plans have always been foiled by that godlike nose. Knock it off, I didn't do anything. Zhuo Fan glared at them, then turned to Gu Santong. It doesn't look like something's wrong with the kid. So it must be his mental state. Li Jingtian raised an eyebrow, but after a bit of mulling he cried, it's fear. How come the great Gu Santong actually knows fear? What? Zhuo Fan was startled and Li Jingtian explained, when I was teaching brats in Regent Estate, I was very strict. So much so, some weak-minded ones caved in just at my voice alone, taking the same posture as he is now. I'd usually go on and kick out anyone I've seen behaving like this. Without guts, I was not going to waste time on them. You're saying, he's scared. But what could drive such fear into this little monster? Zhuo Fan's heart was perturbed as well. Rumble. The thunder only grew in intensity and Zhuo Fan looked startled at the sky. Then a bolt flashed out of the blue and the sky darkened as black as night, as if a huge hand swept over the area. Next, purple lightning began to fall non-stop. Each place they hit was turned to dust, wafting everywhere. Zhuo Fan's eyes widened, and cried, Lightning Canyon. Correct, this was one of the continent's 3 danger zones, Lightning Canyon. It was the place Zhuo Fan had been aiming for all this time, the Heavenly Emperor's remnant. Long Jiu once told him about it and has been preparing himself since. But having met with one strange and unavoidable event after another, he had to put them on hold. And now, with a flash, the Thunder Skylark's egg appeared in his hand. His eyes looked at this flickering egg with a bitter face. He felt regret. Why haven't I hatched this egg the moment I got here? Now that Thunder Swarm Mountain is gone, how do I do it? But even if he had, the chick wouldn't be of any use in the Lightning Canyon. If only I hatched it sooner. It would have matured after a few years. It was as if fate dictated it was not his time to enter Lightning Canyon. Watching the purple lightning falling from the clouds, Zhuo Fan sighed and flew away from them. Let's go. The other 5 were quick to follow. They all heard of the notorious Lightning Canyon's danger. Going in was suicide. The best way is to get out of here following Zhuo Fan. Luckily, Lightning Canyon just showed up and their speed was more than enough to get them in the clear. But they flew for a bit and Zhuo Fan looked back all of a sudden. Where's the brat, Gu Santong? He found that the bold and powerful invincible scamp was reacting like any child would in this situation. He was shivering and closing his ears, losing all reason out of fear. Ha ha ha, the kid is afraid of lightning. Where'd all that fierce attitude go? Violent Demon mocked. The other demons joined him, but Zhuo Fan was pausing in thought. Then, he exclaimed, I get it. He isn't afraid of lightning, but afraid of purple lightning. We were wrong from the start. Hi, Steward Zhuo, you're kidding. Who on earth isn't afraid of purple lightning? Even those sect leaders of ours would bolt at the sight of it. Violent Demon laughed. Shaking his head, Zhuo Fan's eyes were fixed on Gu Santong. This kid is different. The others had the bravery to run, but the kid is lacking even that. Just what is his connection with Lightning Canyon? Zhuo Fan suddenly said, Elderly, you and the demons leave. I'm getting him out. No, Steward Zhuo. Li Jingtian was anxious. Lightning Canyon is about to descend and you'll be soon crushed to death. You can't risk it. Yeah, Steward Zhuo, let that punk die for all we care. Wasn't he almighty? Let's see him handle purple lighting for a change. Violent Demon spat and the demons nodded. The 4 demons had been nothing but trouble so far, but ever since Zhuo Fan saved their lives by paying an 8th grade ingredient, their view changed. They held Zhuo Fan with favor, albeit slightly. Zhuo Fan was gratified but his mind was made. Elderly, if anything happens to me, take care of these 4. Don't let them turn the clan upside down.